by trustee Chavez, the board approved resolution number 24-25-08 to waive the confidentiality of discussions in closed session meetings relating to the circumstances surrounding the decision to vote to non-reelect employee number 17055, the purpose of defending against the allegations in the petition for writ of mandate filed by employee number 17055 on June 12th, 2024 in San Mateo County Superior Court, case number 24-CIV-03585. The votes were as follows. Trustee Griffin, yes. Trustee Chavez, yes. Trustee Jacobson, yes. And I voted yes. Trustee Land was absent. In closed session upon the motion of Trustee Griffin and seconded by Trustee Chavez, the board denied a liability claim with a vote of 4-0. The votes were as follows. Trustee Griffin, yes. Trustee Chavez, yes. Trustee Jacobson, yes. And I voted yes. Trustee Land was absent. All right, I will turn the meeting over now to Superintendent Booker.
Thank you very much. So this is item J, swearing in of elected Board of Trustees. Just I want to give a little preamble before we do the swearing in. As certified on December 5th, 2024 by the San Mateo County Chief Elections Officer, Mark Church. Whereas the number of nominees for the office of governing board member does not exceed the number of offices required by law to be filled at the general election on November 5th, 2024, within the San Mateo Union High School District for areas 2 and 4, the following persons are required to be appointed to 4-year terms. Trustee Area 2, Greg Land, and Trustee Area 4, Ligia Andrade Zuniga. Tonight, I will administer a ceremonial oath of office. So if the two of you could repeat after me. I state your names.
I, Greg Land,
Ligia Andrade Zuniga,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will
that I will
support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear full faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and
and
I
that
will well
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon
about which I am
I'm
about to enter.
Congratulations, both of you.
Yay.
4 more years.
4
more years.
Can we do a photo?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Where do you want to go, Greg?
If we can go toward that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Come on, Randall.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Will this be okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. It's not a selfie this time.
Let's make Peyton too. Can we get one? And your kid. All right. Record? Yeah. So. Thanks for the indulgence. I just want to honor one of our special guests here. We have former trustee and CSBA delegate Clayton Koo from Jefferson Elementary District. So just want to acknowledge and thank you for being here.
Thank you. All right.
I'm going to keep us going.
Yes, sir.
Okay, letter K is the organization of the Board of Trustees. At this meeting, the board shall first elect a slate of president, vice president, and clerk from its members. Then we'll do a second motion, second and vote, as the board shall appoint the district representative for the county committee on school district organization for 1 year. And then thirdly, we'll take a motion, second, and a vote on appointing a secretary to the board. So at this point, can I get someone to nominate a president, vice president, and a clerk from its members?
Point of information or point of order. In our bylaws, we have a specific set of rotation. So I just wanted to maybe remind everyone of that rotation. We kind of call it the Dave Pine rule. So I just wanted to make sure that we're honoring that rotation.
I believe so, yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
Someone needs to make a motion.
I'll make the motion. Is the motion for all five or just three?
It's one at a time. So
One
a
at a time,
president,
okay,
vice president, and
okay,
clerk. We
okay.
start right there, those three.
One at a time.
All together.
All
it's a
three. Okay,
slate.
okay. I'll make the motion for trustee Griffin for the president. Myself, trustee Chavez for the vice president. Trustee Jacobson for the clerk.
Second,
Okay. Hold on real quick.
because that is the order.
Okay, a motion made by trustee Chavez for Robert Griffin to be president, Terry Chavez to be vice president, and Jennifer Jacobson to be clerk, with a second by Gregory Land. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next, the board shall appoint the district representative for the county committee on school district organization for 1 year. Can I entertain a motion?
I'd like to volunteer.
Okay. I'll second.
It's just a once a year, maybe twice a year meeting.
It's a once a year, yeah.
That's all I'm volunteering
When I was
for.
the-
I've done it a couple of times. I haven't done it in a few years. So
I did it 2 years ago. The
Yeah.
meeting was canceled, actually.
exactly. It doesn't do a lot. So I
Yeah.
was like, but once in a while it gets interesting.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Land and a second by trustee Andrade Zuniga for Greg Land to be our district representative for the county committee on school district organization for 1 year. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes. And lastly, we need the board to appoint a secretary to the board. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Ms. Aquino as secretary to the board. Is that right?
So point of
It's the
order, I
super-
think it's me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's
I-
the superintendent and he gets to
Yeah,
board
it's okay.
designee.
Yeah.
I make a motion to appoint Mr. Booker.
I
Second.
second that.
Sorry about that.
We're going to do a second by Mr. Land.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor for Superintendent Booker to serve as secretary of the board, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, that motion passes. And before I hand it back over to Mr. Griffin as president of the board, I just want to take a moment to thank Lihia, or trustee Andrade Zuniga, for her year of service, mentorship, support, all of the above. You've been a fantastic sounding board this past year. You've made my second year of being superintendent really special. We traversed a lot. And I think we've done really great work with the support of the rest of the board and district staff, all of our educators, our families, our students, in really moving the needle in support of our students. So we want to thank you with these flowers and really just shine a light on your service. We're so grateful. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. It was a really good year. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say, Leah, you had it was hard to just come in as your first time as president in this year. There was so much going on and you handled it with grace and poise. And your expertise was well needed all throughout the year. So really, congratulations. You did a great job. And thank you for taking the
very
lead for us.
much. It's
I could just add to that real quickly. We've had, like you said, a lot happening this year. We've had a lot of things happening worldwide, issues, folks at the podium arguing with other folks in the audience and back and forth. And you've done such a tremendous job of just
Thank you.
calming the waters and really saying, we're going to limit the public comment, or also just stepping in there at the right time and saying, we have to have a civil conversation or we can't continue the meeting as
Yep.
is. And thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Here,
Thank you.
here.
Well,
Appreciate it.
I'll second that, third that,
Aw.
whatever's left. It really is difficult. And I think, you had so much tact when you tried to get people to behave and be quiet. And you really did a great job. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
I will fourth that.
Oh, thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. No, it's great. And I love this district and I love this, just what we do here and the students, and I enjoy it. So I enjoy you all. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Griffin, it's all yours.
Wait.
Okay, well,
Gavel's yours.
we're gonna,
Now we get to do chaos. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
Let's see how he handles it.
Yeah.
the last time I did it was COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Right.
yeah, there was no picnic, but anyway, welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. I think we're at public comments. If you are joining us in person and wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during the public comments section at the beginning of the agenda, please fill out a request to address the board and form and submit it to the secretary. This form should be given to the secretary before the agenda item begins. If you are joining us virtually, use the raised hand feature on Zoom to be recognized. When invited to do so, your camera must be on before you are called upon to make a public comment. We will call on you to begin your comment once we have promoted you into the meeting. If your camera is not operational, please email your comments to the Board of Trustees at board@smuhsd.org. That's board@smuhsd.org. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comment depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. I will call on in-person comments first.
There are no in-person comments.
Okay. Well, then it says, Ms. Aquino, are there any hands raised on Zoom?
There is one hand raised. I'll now promote Cassie Cook. Ms. Cook, you can accept the invitation. He's not accepting on her end.
No, thank you. Governing board comments. Actually, and I'm gonna back it up. Greg started this, so I see we have a council member from Foster City here, and I'd like to recognize Patrick Sullivan.
I think that's
And it
important
was
too.
concerning me because I'm wondering, well, what's he here for? And he didn't say anything. But anyway, welcome, Patrick.
Welcome.
Congratulations on being reelected. I
Yep.
look forward to your service.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm sure I'm the liaison to Foster City somehow, so we'll have to get together and you can fix that pothole in front of my street. Anyway, welcome. Glad to see you. Okay, governing board comments. I would like to start with our student board representatives. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Tala Isabel Pantua, and I'm from Mills High School. I would just like to give a shout out to my high school, Mills, for the outstanding winter concert that we held this past Friday. I would like to say that our students at Mills are incredibly talented in the musical field, and that I'm so proud of them for the 3 concerts they put on during school and one after school. So shout out to our Mills musical students. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Bors, and I am also from Mills High School. As a recap in events at our high school in the previous month, we are slowly winding down in our sports and club participation as finals have arrived. And with that, this entire week, Mills students and all students across San Mateo Union High School District have been completing finals with their teachers. Additionally, it is noted that within the past 2 weeks, many students have been receiving decisions for universities if they are seniors. And I am proud to announce that I've been accepted to Stanford.
Yay! Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you for that sterling report.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. Board comments, trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Yes. I attended the Equity Advisory Committee last week, and we need more people to attend. So if y'all can, if anyone out there wants to join us, please do. We went over the 3 different topics. One was about our ML students, multilingual students. One was about our attendance and suspensions, or suspensions and expulsions, I believe. Sorry. And there was one more that we had as well. And one of the nice things about this committee is that we can sit with different people from different schools and then also from different districts. We get to talk with parents, and sometimes students join us, but we really need more people to keep moving this work forward. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Kemke. She and Mr. Simmons run these groups, and it's great. Let's see. I also with the County Committee on School District Organization, it's a very important group. So we need people that are interested in giving comments or finding out about what the group is about. And it's important for our families to know. So if you're interested, we have the information on our website of when we meet. And so please come to the group if you're interested in giving comment. We also all attended the School Board Association conferences. It was really nice to see everybody from the different districts. But some of the information that we got out of it was about our students and moving the needle. It's kind of in the same theme as the other conferences that I had attended, and that if we're not moving the needle, we need to ask more questions, and we need to evaluate what we're doing in our district to make sure that needle is moved. If our students are not excelling, then there's something that we have to do to change that. So I strongly believe that that's what we do here. So then thank you to our IT folks and to everybody that keeps our district going. Happy holidays, and thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Land.
I'm going to try to be a little brief because Trustee Andrade Zuniga said pretty much everything I wanted to say. But first, mine was in a different order. So first, happy holidays. Break is coming up. I just want to thank the teachers, staff, and students for all the work they've done getting through their finals this week. Just really appreciating, hope that they can enjoy the break with their families. And, I think that's important. I apologize. I'm in the ugly sweater day. My whole staff was, and our principals in Burlingame were wearing these kind of sweaters for a little levity. Second of all, I do appreciate going to the California School Boards Association. My take was there were some really valuable sessions. For me, the best takeaways were about AI. And I know we've already started some work with that, and I appreciate the study session that we did. But what I'm noticing is, we really have to evaluate how to utilize AI. It's not going away, and how can we best utilize it for our students, for our staff? Even for our board, you know, AI, there was a whole session that Palo Alto did on how we can increase our capacity through,
Yeah.
you know, summarizing policies and having AI go through the stuff that maybe we don't want to go through as quickly as we, you know, and so we don't miss things. It was really an interesting meeting. Also, I was part of the delegate assembly. That might come up again, but through the delegate assembly, we were really talking about the federal changes that were going to be taking place with the new administration coming in, and the concerns that special education funding might be in jeopardy,
Yeah.
and that Title IX and laws that we have just gotten recently passed, the shifts that for Title IX actually might be taken away and
Yeah.
dismantled. So
Yeah.
these are things that we need to be aware of, and we need to, as school board members, need to be on top of and know what's going on and protect our students and
Yeah.
protect our schools. Finally, I will end, unfortunately, on a more somber note. While you know, you mentioned, you know, Trustee Andrade Zuniga mentioned the BHS student. Well, the BHS student was also a BIS student, and a lot of my teachers at my school had such an impact on what happened because they had taught him for years, and and it also touched home for me because a very similar experience happened to one of our neighbors, and his parents have set up a foundation. Riley Watchhorst had something very similar happen, and it's just I hope we can serve our students better, and can we find a way to help them. So my heart goes out to their family, and their friends, and to all of BHS. I do want to commend Dr. Fung and Superintendent Booker for sending out the information so quickly and readily, just so people would know what's going on. So I thought it was handled very well. So thank you, guys. That's it for me.
Thank you. Trustee Jacobson?
I will also add my condolences to all of those who were impacted by the passing of the student at BHS, and thank Trustee Andrade Zuniga for the resources that she mentioned. And I will also add my comments about the California School Boards Association conference. I'm grateful to the district for sponsoring us to go to that. It was a really, you know, good education experience. I attended also a conference the day before and attended sessions on student success. So I echo some of the same concerns that Trustee Andrade Zuniga brought up about, you know, moving the needle for our students. And especially we talked about the science of reading, which affects more of elementary school level, but also the data point that really stood out to me, and that was that kids who aren't proficient at reading by the end of third grade, they really never catch up. And we need to, I'm interested in learning what our district does to help students in that situation. Also math. And I did attend some sessions on CTE and one specifically about a biotech internship that I'm hoping we can explore bringing here to our district. So it was a fruitful conference. And I also want to just acknowledge all of the traditions, holidays that are being celebrated by many different faiths this season, and wish everyone in the district and the community a wonderful holiday season and Happy New Year, and hope that our students and staff get the rest that they need and some well-deserved rest that we all need. So thank you.
Trustee Chavez?
Thank you. I want to echo what a lot of my fellow colleagues have already said, so I won't reiterate all of that. I do want to, of course, offer my condolences to the family and the entire Burlingame community as well. I want to thank our student trustees for mentioning the winter concerts, because this is the year, unfortunately, that I haven't attended any winter concerts, but I know that they're all amazing at each school site. I think about 2 weeks ago, I did attend a sister act with trustee Jennifer Jacobson at Aragon. That was amazing. And I know all the plays at every school site are amazing and just wonderful. And I still don't understand how everybody remembers all those lines. Every play that I've been to is about 2 hours long. There's a little intermission in the middle so people can run and get snacks, but I still am so amazed. I looked around the stage and I don't see any scripts hanging from the ceiling, so I just still can't, I'm still amazed at everybody memorizing everything. I also want to mention about the California School Board Association Annual Conference. I was very excited to attend that with my colleagues here. It was my sixth conference and my sixth annual conference, and they're always amazing and they're always focused on students. And that's the great thing about it. You have thousands of trustees from around the state of California coming together. We have some keynote speeches that we attend. And then for the most part, you're picking your own classes, whether it's equity or workforce housing. I attended one of those, or it's on AI, or it's on multilingual learners. It's whatever you think your district needs and you want to focus on that and learn more from either a panel discussion or a presenter. I just think the classes and the keynote speeches were great, as well as networking with fellow trustees. I do want to piggyback off of what trustee Andrade Zuniga said. It's about moving the needle for our district and ultimately our students. I wanted to mention one thing real quickly because the holidays are coming and tomorrow I think is the last day of school. Let's see, hold on a screenshot earlier. So sometimes during the 2-week break, it's challenging for families with financial needs. Sometimes some families are challenged with making sure you have enough food on the table. So I wanted to mention that there is, I'm sorry, you guys, there is Second Harvest. Second Harvest is Silicon Valley, visits different cities, and there's always a pickup. We just had the one yesterday in San Bruno. I have friends that volunteer there once a month, so that's how I know about it. It's also on social media. But I'm sure that there are others that if you're interested in looking, if you need food, I'm concerned about our students not receiving their hot lunches, but there's also, they have a 1-800 line, 1-800-984-3663. If you need to get in contact with Second Harvest to find out where they're having the food drop in the next couple of weeks. There's also Samaritan House Pantry. Their number is 650-341-4081, and they're open every day, in morning and afternoon. The reason why I bring this up is because when I grew up and my family was food, I grew up with the food insecurity. So during the holidays, it's fun to sleep in and hang out at home and go on just fun walks. But you know, when you're looking for something to eat and you have financial insecurity, food insecurity and financial insecurity go hand in hand. I just want folks to know that there are resources out there available in whatever city you live in, there's resources, but those are a couple resources that I just stated there. So my heart goes out to just want to make sure folks are being communicated, the phone numbers, and being helped and supported by us. Okay, thank you so much for letting me share.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pick up my own comments and talk faster because we got a long, no, in all sincerity, we really haven't met in a while and we haven't had the chance to talk and share what we've been doing. CSBA was great. I focused on finance and budget, the state budget and, the other issues was academic achievement, and then superintendent relations and superintendent evaluation. And the evaluation was just jam-packed, and Lou Lozano led that. The improving board relations with the superintendent was so crowded that they closed. I don't know, did anybody try to go there? Because they closed the doors,
Oh, wow.
that they literally would not let people because, a lot of times a popular session,
Yeah.
people are on the walls and sitting on the floors.
Yeah.
That one, I guess it was just, a fire code violation. So
Yeah.
anyway, I enjoyed that. My next comment has to do with Mary Janney, and I don't know if anybody recognizes that name. She served on this board for 10 years. We've got at least one other old timers recognizing that Mary Janney had served on both the Burlingame board and the San Mateo Union High School District Board. She served on this board for 10 years. And I took her seat when she was here. And she went on to serve on the Burlingame Council. And she was an old time, real basic school board trustee. I think she was common sense, no nonsense, and I enjoyed seeing her her in action. And she passed away at 87. Recently, she had left the area, but you know, it was one of those things that she really did a good job for the school district. So, and I think the only other thing is wishing everybody happy holidays, get some rest, spend time with loved ones, and I guess we'll choose sides up after the first of the year. So that's my comments. Communications to the board trustee, Superintendent Booker, are there any communications?
None this evening.
Recognitions? Are there any recognitions?
None this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. P. Does anybody wish to pull any oh, hold it. I'm reading my script, and somewhere along here, I'm lucky I pay attention at other meetings because I think don't we have to approve the agenda? Well, I just pulled that one out. It's not on. I don't think it's on there.
No, it's not on there. When we were developing the agenda and we placed the
Okay.
ceremony and it got erased off the agenda.
That's
so-
okay.
I
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the current agenda.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I
Aye.
I mean, you know, and I am just glad I paid attention to that because that would have been,
I was gonna say, you're on it. I'm impressed.
well, don't worry, there'll be something else I'll drive right through the stop sign on. So anyway, okay.
Trustee Griffin, sorry. We have to ask the student board reps how they vote.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
How do you vote
Point of order.
on the agenda?
In favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay, now we're gonna move on to P. Gotta get my mouse moving. The consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull an item?
If there are no items to be pulled, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
One item.
Ms. Aquino, are there any comments from the public?
There are none.
Are there any comments online?
There are none.
Okay. Does the board wish to discuss any of these items? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so the consent agenda, item P passes,
Student board rep.
The student board reps
Student
vote
board.
aye.
and the student board reps.
That's the one you gotta remember.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's new for us.
yeah. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. But, you know, when I'm at work and I do something over and over and I don't do it right, I take a Post-it and I put it on my monitor. So, I mean, because almost
Yeah.
every activity
Sure.
occurs on the monitor, so
Mhm.
I gotta put that on my laptop here.
Will be your post-its in the meantime.
Yeah. okay.
Mhm.
So we'll move on. Let's see, that was P. Regular reports, the report of the superintendent.
Yes, thank you very much. So, like others mentioned from the Board of Trustees, I want to acknowledge that we have a lot of holidays that our students, our educators, our community celebrate over the next few weeks. We have Hanukkah, December 25th through January 2nd. It's a Jewish festival that reaffirms the ideals of Judaism and commemorates, in particular, the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem by the lighting of candles on each night of Hanukkah. This year, it begins on sunset on December 25th and lasts through January 2nd. And for all who celebrate, may this festival bring blessings upon you and your family. We also have Christmas, and we want to wish all of our members of our community who celebrate Christmas a Merry Christmas with family and friends, togetherness and peace. Moving on, we every month we award the Golden Apple to unbelievable educators across our district, and they go to deserving employees who go above and beyond, really. They show exemplary service, dedication, and resourcefulness, among many other positive qualities. And these presentations truly are one of the best parts every month. I get to watch staff come together, encourage and love one another, and feel recognized. And this month, we awarded 2 of our classified employees, our CSEA members, Golden Apples. The first is Parveen Rahman, who is the library assistant at San Mateo High School, and she has been with the district for 12 years. Principal Yvonne Shu said of Parveen, "She is hardworking, diligent, thorough, kind, thoughtful, and generous. She has been an integral part of San Mateo High School since 2012, and she always has the students' best interests in mind and at heart. She wants the best of our students, always making sure they get what they need, and she recognizes student office aides by always nominating them for a Bearcat Award. At the beginning and the end of the school year, she works alongside her parent volunteers to get out and check back in thousands of textbooks and novels. And during the summer, she checks in when she knows we are expecting a textbook order. She makes herself available to come in as necessary to get books processed so she can start the new school year off prepared and ready for students and teachers. When she wakes up at the crack of dawn to do some cooking, she shares her wonderful and tasty treats with the staff, and who can't turn down a cup of chai or on a cold morning? Parveen is sweet and kind and always wants to do the right thing, and we are so lucky to have her in the Bearcat family. Next, we have Samiko Sharoma, and she's a mental health therapist at Hillsdale High School, and she's been with the district for 3 years. Our director of mental health, April Torres, said of Samiko, "She has been an indispensable member of the Hillsdale High School team and the mental health and wellness program, consistently bringing invaluable expertise as the most seasoned wellness counselor at Hillsdale High. In addition to her clinical expertise, Samiko has been instrumental in supporting the onboarding of our new mental health lead and offering critical guidance and mentorship. As the most experienced clinician, she has played a pivotal role in ensuring a smooth transition for the new staff, sharing her knowledge and organizational skills to the benefit of the entire Hillsdale community. Her advocacy for marginalized students, particularly those in the multilingual population, has been nothing short of extraordinary. Samiko is dedicated to ensuring that these students receive the necessary resources and support, and she continuously introduces innovative, student-centered ideas that address their unique challenges. Samiko is also a vital contributor to our collaborative environment. She fosters strong relationships with site staff and her wellness colleagues, bringing a positive and supportive energy to the teams. In both individual and group supervision sessions, she arrives fully prepared, offering valuable insights that enrich our discussions and enhance the collective growth of the team. Samiko is truly a rare gem, and we are incredibly fortunate to have her at San Mateo Union High School District. All right. And then for the winter recess, finally, I want to acknowledge the hard work of all of our educators this past semester. At our January board meeting next month, I will share highlights of the fall semester, which illustrates the dedication of our team. And when I say our team, I mean the entire SMUHSD community. As we prepare to go on recess, I especially want to recognize our 12-month employees who do the work behind the scenes to make our campuses operate without a hitch. Thank you to all. And if you are traveling over the recess, I wish you safe travels. And I always like to remind our educators and our students and even our families alike that winter recess is an excellent time to hit that reset button. I hope all of our community members will take the time to rest, reflect, and reset if they feel that will serve them well as we head into 2025. And on a personal note, I am really looking forward to 2025. I can't wait. So let's get there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, report of the District Teachers Association.
Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, and district cabinet. It's congratulations to Trustee Griffin on being president again. He's the second person I've heard about serving 2 non-consecutive terms as president lately. But I assure you, there's no comparison with the other person. I do want to recognize Trustee Andrade Zuniga for her work and effort and support of all the students in the district, the families in the district, and of course, all the educators in the district. So thank you, and thank you for your service, and looking forward to working with you in the future. There are two items on the agenda tonight that are of particular note. The first is the first I'll mention is the certificate or the approval of the first interim report. I'm always pleased, or at least since the early 2000s, I've been pleased that our district has been handled in such a sound financial way, that the leadership and the management of our district in terms of finances has been so effective and efficient. Mr. Hawkins always uses often uses the phrase that we're in strong financial position to face challenges, and that's not something every district can say. And sure, we're an excess tax district, basic aid district, so we're a little bit better off, but a lot of it does depend on good folks in the business department. So, of course, Yancey and also Ms. Miller and Ms. Castano. So I just want to recognize the work that they do to keep our district in a sound financial situation. The second item is I'm looking forward to hearing the presentation on the multilingual learner program. This is an incredible endeavor that the district is undertaking. The magnitude and scope really can't be overstated. That said, and I'm glad to see that there are so many successes, but that said, I think there are still, as I've said before, there's still a long way to go. And I think that journey starts with making sure that the educators are truly heard and supported in this process. These programs and the implementation of this new to our district program will touch almost every teacher in the district, and whatever resources that we as a district can put behind those efforts, and that we can all act in concert to meet the needs of the students and really support our educators who are delivering that curriculum. I think it can't be overstated how important that is. So again, looking forward to seeing where we're at, but also recognizing that there's a long journey ahead. And I appreciate Trustee Jacobson talking about how we do address reading levels and where we're going. And I think widening the scope of that discussion and including all stakeholders is a really important factor. And a couple of things I'll pick up then on a couple of the things the board members had said. First of all, Trustee Land, I think AI is incredibly important. Everybody's talking about finals finishing up, but there are still 2 more exams tomorrow. And the presence of AI in our students' lives, let's just say it's noticeable. So it's important to recognize how important it is that we all educate ourselves and are thoughtful and deliberate about how we implement or incorporate AI into the service that we provide. I think it's sort of a two-sided coin, if you will. And I think it's very, very important. Unless you're looking for, the answer to how many R's there are in strawberry. I think Trustee Land too, AI would have no problem selecting that sweater as the winner of the contest. I'm so thankful that you mentioned it was for an event. I was afraid to comment on it otherwise. The other item that I really appreciate Trustee Chavez's discussion about food insecurity. That's something we take pretty seriously here at Hillsdale, and I just want to put in a plug for the Peace Pantry and the Community Closet at Hillsdale. We serve I shouldn't say we, the ETA and the Peace Pantry serve so many families in our community, and countless volunteers spend every Friday morning packing food and delivering food. There's a holiday giving plan currently right now that you can go to the Hillsdale website and you'll be able to find it, or just call Brett Stevenson. He'll always answer the phone. And then finally, I'll just say, again, I've said before, happy holidays. I am looking forward to the break, and just want to say how much, not only how much the association, appreciates the support of the district, but also a few things that have happened in the last few months in which I've been thinking about way back in the early 90s, maybe mid 90s. Then Superintendent Tom Moore was championing the establishment of a strategic plan. And one of the tenets of the strategic plan was to develop and support a culture of collaboration. And I really feel strongly, not only as an educator, but as my role in the association, that I really appreciate that culture that I think didn't have to exist, didn't have to be supported, but I appreciate the work of Superintendent Booker, Dr. Black, Dr. Kemke, and Mr. Hawkins as well. And just want to appreciate that we're all professionals, we're all educators, and we all work together for the same goals. So thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Okay. Report of the CSEA Chapter 519 representative. Apparently there is no report tonight. Okay. Report of the San Mateo Adult School Teachers Association. And apparently there's no report tonight either. Huh? Okay. Special reports and appearances. Superintendent Booker.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I appreciate the comments from Mr. Childress. Our focus on multilingual learners is imperative. The data indicates it is such, and I'm really pleased this evening that tonight's presentation by Dr. Kemke, by Ms. Feit, and others doesn't serve as a presentation of just successes. We do have a lot of work to do in this area, and we will identify those points and the things that we are looking to tackle to improve our multilingual learners' opportunities to thrive and to graduate. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Kemke. Thank you.
Good evening. So I'm really proud to introduce the Spotlight on Student Learning on our multilingual learners. There has been a tremendous amount of work over the last year and a half in support of our students, and it has taken a lot of support from all educators from all parts of the organization. As Mr. Childress indicated, it is an area of focus that we need to have ongoing support for and collaboration. And I think some of the changes have challenged us as a system, as it's required anytime a system undergoes a lot of change. However, we're really committed to the work. I really believe in what you're going to see tonight in terms of what we're providing to students that is rigorous, it's inclusive, and it's what's ethically and legally is right for our students. And I'm really fortunate to have the leadership of Ms. Joanna Feit. She's actually has over 15 years of experience in leading ML programming. Prior to being here in our district, she led efforts in San Francisco under a lot of important changes that happened there, that she has brought insight to make sure that we're doing right by our students here as well. And really, I think change is one of the themes of this presentation, that we know we have had to do some organizational change. And what we really do hope is that that will start impacting our students at in very important data points, graduating, but also that they're learning English, because we know that's a way for them to access resources, jobs, everything else in our community. So, and at her side is Miss Nicole Allens Martin. You may recognize her. She was formerly a world language teacher, a school administrator, and now she's joining us at the district office this year as our ML coordinator. So I'm going to have them come on up here, and I have the clicker for them as well. They're going to provide an overview of the ML program. They're going to show some of the data, talk about a lot of those changes that we've made, and talk about the partnerships, teacher supports that we have, as well as a student panel. So we'll hear from our most important constituents. There's some students here tonight that will be part of a student panel. And with that, the last thing I'm going to say is just that our programming really is about serving a very diverse student population across 10 different schools. And again, we really want to see our students thrive. We want to see them included in grade level classes. And a lot of the program supports that they're going to talk about are ensuring that our students are accessing it. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to them.
You're right. Thank you. Start again. Good evening, President Griffin, trustees, and members of cabinet. Our students should be walking in any moment. They were just taking a picture outside before coming in and finishing up their pizza. So I'm going to start with providing just a quick overview of the programs that we have, starting with our newcomer program. And our newcomer program is a program that, defined by California and federal law, can exist for up to 3 years for students who have been in the United States for less than 3 years in the United States educational system. And while 3 years is the guidelines, we do have exceptions for students who can exit the program sooner if they have met their proficiency and the exit criteria sooner. And we also have exceptions for students who need to stay in the program more than 3 years. So it's definitely always based on each student's needs and what the teachers and the administrators at the sites are seeing are as the needs as the students. Our newcomer program, based on the slide, serves our students from 0 to 3 years. And we have that program at 4 of our schools: Bridge Academy, Cappuccino, Hillsdale, and San Mateo. Then we have our second program, which is our standard program. And the standard program exists in all of our schools. The standard program will serve our advanced newcomers. Those are the students I mentioned that might exit the newcomer program early, but they are still considered a newcomer. We have our medium-term students who have been in the U.S. for 4 to 6 years, and then our long-term English learners who have been in the U.S. 7+ years. One thing to note that is something we changed due to the audit is that in prior years, our newcomer students were not allowed access to their resident schools if they did not have a newcomer program. And legally, we are required to allow any student to participate at their resident school. So you will see that some families have opted out of the newcomer program and are now attending their resident schools, such as Aragon, Burlingame, or Mills. Welcome, students. So we have some students for the panel, and then they also called some students to help support them through their presentation. So we got a good representation here of students. And we're saving that the best for last. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit about what our data is currently showing about our programs and how our multilingual learners are doing. So first thing is around our enrollment trends. While the slide on here talks about the last 3 years, if you really think about the last 7 years, our our multilingual learner enrollment has increased by almost 15%, and the newcomers in particular by 50%. And by the numbers you can see over the last 3 years, that our newcomer population has maintained at almost 50% of all of our MLs. We are at about 40%, 47% newcomers, and then the rest are our medium term and our long-term English learners, multilingual learners. And I think one of the implications of this is that we really need to look at how we are serving that 50% that we have seen come in and maintain. And they have a very different need in terms of their programming in order to progress their English proficiency. This next slide pretty much shows the exact same information, but it is shown just in a table form. Again, just showing the trends for enrollment in terms of the different types of multilingual learners. Our next slide will show the multilingual learner population at our school sites. So what we see over time is that the trend has remained the same in terms of the percentage of MLs. San Mateo High School has the largest number of multilingual learners, followed by Hillsdale and Cappuccino close behind. And then Bridge Academy has 70 students, and they have all newcomer students, and they have our most vulnerable newcomer students at that school. A lot of them who are unaccompanied minors, who have come here later in life and as an 11th or 12th grader, experienced trauma and need a lot of extra support in order to get through school and through their life.
Good evening. This slide here is showing our program enrollment with keeping in mind one of the mandated changes that we had through the audit, which was to allow, as Joanna had mentioned earlier, all students to have access to their resident home sites. And so as you can see here, there are now newcomers that are at all of our schools, especially Aragon, Burlingame, and Mills, which do not have newcomer programs. These schools have the standard programs. But here we see that Aragon and Burlingame, and Peninsula as well, because Peninsula, Aragon, Burlingame, and Mills now really need to prioritize teacher professional development around serving newcomer students that are now at the sites and weren't previously. We really need to increase the access points for them in all of the content area classes. And while we do advise families about the benefits of being at a site with a newcomer program and being part of the newcomer program when they enroll, and some families do choose to opt out of going to the newcomer program. They really want to be at their home and resident sites. And so we continually need to help those sites with the standard programs, Aragon, Burlingame, Mills, Peninsula, be accustomed to the fact that newcomers do have the right to attend their home sites, and that schools need to also make changes to help to ensure that they succeed. This slide also is showing the same type of detail in table format. You'll see the percentages of the MLs within the population at the sites, and then the columns that show newcomer, medium-term, and long-term groups are going to show the percentage breakdowns of each of those groups of students within the ML population at the sites.
So for our graduation rate, we did see an increase in our ML graduation this year. Yay, good news. We also did have a 5% increase last year, so that's great. However, we still see that our multilingual learners have the lowest graduation rate in the district. And a few of the possibilities or reasons why our students have the lowest graduation rate are that some of it is attendance, and some of it can be that they have not had access to some of their graduation requirements. And then for our newcomer students, we see a lot of competing priorities where they have to work to make money, where they have to take care of their siblings or other things that are impacting their school life. So several things that can be impacting the graduation rate for our MLs. On this slide, you'll see some of the bright spots. So these schools also saw an increase in the grad rate for their multilingual, specifically at their sites. So most of them were increases, some of them were maintained. I do have to name that this is the first year that the California dashboard is separating our multilingual learners into two groups, which is English learners and long-term English learners. So the data is a little hard to compare sometimes to last year, but this is how it's going to be moving forward. And so it's important to look at these particular students and why we were able to increase the graduation rate for these students to determine what was it? Was it access to more classes? Was it the supports they were given? Was it increased credit recovery opportunities? These are some growth areas for our graduation rate. We saw that at Aragon, both of the categories of students declined in graduation. At Burlingame, you only see one on there because for the long-term ELs, they have less than 11 students, so then they don't give a score for that. At Cappuccino, they had one decline and one maintained. And then at Peninsula, they maintained as well. So again, looking at what was good at the other schools that we could maybe replicate for these schools to also continue to increase on their graduation rate. This slide talks about attendance for all the different typologies of our students. So the first chart on the left top is talking about all of our multilingual learners. And then under that is our newcomers, students who have been here for up to 3 years, medium term 4 to 6 years, and LTELs 7+. Across all the MLs, what you see is that the absentee rate increases as they become longer term English learners. Most likely because of their lack of progress and getting frustrated that they're not progressing in their English. Sometimes it can be a lack of connectedness at their school sites, and also possibly being able to offer them more credit recovery options than we do right now, because some of them come in credit deficient and then they might not have as many opportunities to recover their credits to graduate on time. I'm sorry, to be able to come to school and be able to graduate on time. For the College and Career Indicator, a reminder of what this is. The College and Career Indicator has many measures that can be used to meet it, to be prepared. Some of the ones that are more popular for our San Mateo students are enrollment in AP classes and a 3 on the exam, a CTE completion, which is 2 years of a CTE pathway, also A through G completion, and then taking a dual enrollment or a college course. For our English learners, our multilingual learners, we see that there has been a decline. Part of the reason for that decline is that we need to improve our access to the AP classes, to our CTE pathways, and to access to the A through G courses that we have, as well as a college course. And we have started taking some actions around those things. For example, in a little bit, I'll talk about the intake counselor that graciously the board approved last year. And one of the goals of that position is to actually offer a newcomer college course. So in this slide, we are looking at the ML progress, and what the ML progress means is that it is looking at how much a student progressed in their LPAC test every year. At the bottom of the slide, you can see LPAC levels, and typically, not typically, the LPAC comes with 4 up to 4, 1 through 4. But when you're measuring the English proficiency indicator, they're looking at the 6 levels that are underneath the slide, the 2L, 2H. They don't have to jump an entire number to show progress. So they're looking at if anyone went from 2L to 2H or to 3L, etc. So based on the data up there, we maintained for our multilingual learners, but we have declined for our long-term English learners. And that is a pattern that we see across all of California and actually in the entire country. This next slide shows the ELPI, again, the English Proficiency Indicator by school site. And again, because the long-term ELs are now separated, it makes it a little difficult to compare both years. But I can highlight that Aragon, Burlingame, and Mills did have a slight increase, and Cappuccino and Hillsdale had a slight decrease. Now, last year, both Cappuccino and Hillsdale had increases. So it has been pretty inconsistent in our data in terms of decreasing and increasing. Our reclassification rates. So last year I talked about the jump in 2022-23, and I'll repeat it again. Due to the pandemic in the prior years, the state was not offering the CASP exam, and that is one of the criteria for reclassification. So when that was offered again, we saw the big increase in students who couldn't have been reclassified in the past, and hence the jump to 22.1% in 22-23. Now, if we compare 2021-22 to 23-24, which is more of a compare of two comparable years, we can see that we had about a 3% increase in our reclassification rate, which is great. Part of that can be that we started offering more of their designated ELD courses and also really focusing on how they're progressing on their English in different content areas. So one of the other measures that the district has is around advancement through ELD. And in this year, we can see a slight decline in almost every school. And I believe part of the reason we see the decline is that one of our past practices was that we allowed students to continue to take the same ELD level, even if they passed the course. That is something we were found out of compliance in. So we've made some changes to that. And in this next slide, this is a proposal of how to continue to look at that, but with the new measures that we're having. So with our new guidance that was given from the auditors, we changed the courses from integrated ELD and designated ELD into ML English and designated ELD. ML English is a class that is treated like any other content class with the same passing and failing criteria. So now they will not be able to repeat it unless they fail the class. They will pass along to the next level if they're passing the class. Designated ELD is by proficiency level, and the state says that sometimes they move forward, sometimes they do not. So if we really want to be measuring the progress of their advancement, we need to be looking at their ML English. And you can see that for the fall of 2024, we had quite a huge increase. This is partially because in January, due to the audit, we had to move several students out of the newcomer program because they had been in there for too many years. And also in this fall, we already moved a lot of students out of the newcomer program. So every year, some students will either age out of it, meaning they've been there for 3 years and they need to move forward and they're ready, or that they've met the exit criteria to move out of the newcomer program.
Let's talk about the road to improvement. Here you will have seen a couple of the slides at the start when Joanna began about the multilingual learner typologies. And these are ways that we are able to identify the amount of years that students have been in U.S. schools. And previously, prior to the audit, we were not using the typologies in this way with this type of a breakdown. So it's extremely helpful for our teachers and for others who are trying to have a better understanding of what students' expected language proficiencies may be, again, based on their years in the U.S. and their educational history. And as a reminder, on those, kind of the top half of these are our newcomer students, and that makes up about 50% of the population of our multilingual learners. On this slide, you can get a glimpse of what the multilingual learner's journey is within the district when students arrive based on the home language survey and also the amount of years in the U.S. schools. They will be identified and given the typology like what you just previously saw. And students are offered to be in the newcomer program if they've been here for 3 years or less, or our students who are the advanced newcomers or medium term or long term will be in the standard program. And as we also discussed, the families can also opt for students who are newcomers to continue at their home site in the standard program as well. So they may choose not to be a part of the newcomer program if it's not at their home site, and that's what they choose. When students are at either site, whether it's a newcomer program or a standard program, they are taking designated ELD. It's called CLA at the standard program, which is Community and Literacy and Action course. But at both programs, they're taking either DELD or CLA. In the newcomer program, they're taking the other ML content classes, ML English being one of them, like Joanna just mentioned. And after the 3 years, the newcomers will move to the standard program. And of course, the ultimate goal is that students are really developing in their English proficiency, moving towards reclassification, and then of course, graduation. We also have a group of students who come to us with interrupted formal education or limited interrupted formal education, which are our SIFE or SLIFE students, as well as unaccompanied minors that are coming to us. And we have several different indicators that you can see there on the bulleted list of who are our students that may be identified as SIFE or SLIFE. And we do see that we have 3 general groups of students within SIFE or SLIFE that we are supporting. One as a group that overall can't read or write. It's a small cohort, but we do have some students in this group. And then the other, which is quite a bit larger, and the majority are students who can read and write and have literacy in their home language, or what we'll call their L1. However, it might be a lower grade level than high school level. And then we also have a group with interrupted education, but they are progressing quite quickly. Part of this, especially to address that majority group, in the middle, we've developed a SLIFE task force where we're looking at literacy course potentially for our students in this category, and other ways that we can really support our SLIFE students and the unaccompanied minors. Here you'll see another general overview of our newcomer and standard programs and our placement guidelines. So on the left, you'll see again our schools that have the newcomer program, and also that exit criteria for the students who may be newcomers here for 3 years or less, but then are meeting the criteria to be advanced newcomers and going into the standard program. And you'll see the different courses that they will take at each, and then the stars are next to that state required designated ELD class in both the standard program as CLA or in the newcomer program as DELD. One of the really exciting and positive moves this year has been the curriculum development and adoption for both ML English and for CLA. There was a robust pilot last year, if you remember, and then in the spring when the board graciously approved and the 24th of May, the new curriculum for these programs. So ML English focuses on the ELA content standards, which is required by EdCode. This is the course that's at the newcomer sites. And we do recognize that we need to continually increase our expectations for our multilingual students in these courses. They are resilient, and we want to give them rigorous curriculum that's meeting standards. In CLA, we are also using a National Geographic curriculum, and we are following the California ELD standards in the course. We are working a lot on assessments as well to prepare students for the LPAC. As Joanna was saying, the LP is the major indicator of student progress. And so our CLA teachers are really helping students by practicing the interim LPAC and getting them to work to understand what that takes for them as they're also nearing reclassification. One of the big benefits with all of this, and a major benefit, has just been the consistency of the curriculum and the assessments across all sites, and to really have that joint togetherness, and that way we can better track the program success across all. And how are we supporting our teachers and staff? There is a huge need, and especially as I mentioned earlier, with our sites that are not accustomed to having newcomers on site, a huge need for how we're supporting our teachers and staff across the entire district. We have some external providers that have been giving excellent PD throughout this year, as you can see there on the left, and also many internal opportunities as well. I would say we are continuing to see quite a bit of low participation in the external providers PD, but teachers are asking for PD, so we need to find out ways to support teachers to be able to better attend these PD opportunities.
So monitoring of our MLs, it is required by the law to monitor all of our MLs a few times throughout the year, including our reclassified students for up to 4 years. And I wanted to also thank the board for approving the increase to a 1.0 ML coordinator, because that has also allowed us to, one, in the slide before, offer a lot more internal professional learning opportunities for our teachers, as well as increasing our monitoring and interventions for our students. So some of the examples of how we monitor, we implemented a new system where the ML specialist will review the grades of all their MLs in the 6-week grading period, and then they're ensuring that these students who have multiple Fs are getting interventions at their school sites. They work directly with their APs to make sure that they're going to their Tier 2 team and getting assigned interventions. There's also frequent check-ins on student progress, and most of our schools have an ML tutoring program after school to support students. And another thing that the board approved was our ML clubs. And the ML clubs have really had a great success in building the community for our students and making them feel more welcome at each of their sites. We do have some new developments on monitoring. For example, at San Mateo High School, they started a new mentoring program that the ML specialist has a group of students that have recently transitioned from the newcomer program to the standard program. So far, the pilot has shown great success. It showed some increase in attendance, some increase in their grades. And we're hoping to be able to expand that and bring it to the other sites as well. We can all meet and talk about things that are working well at each other's sites. I also know that Hillsdale has sent out a new process for their transition of their newcomer students from the newcomer program to the standard program. So they're thinking about it 6 weeks prior. What are they doing with the students? The first 6 weeks in the standard program, what are all their check-ins and what are their monitoring? They're making sure the students have a buddy in the standard program and all these systems for monitoring and checking that the students who have recently transitioned are doing okay. As well as all that, we have been tracking the progress of all of the students who have transitioned from the newcomer program to the standard program. We check their GPA and their attendance every 6 weeks to see how they're doing, if they're improving, decreasing. And, you know, we have a lot of students who are doing well, but we do have some students who have been maintaining and some who have not been doing so successfully, but that is expected. The other thing in terms of always monitoring, which Nicole already mentioned, is the SLIFE task force. We had our first meeting. And again, this came out of seeing that there's a need to support our students who are coming in with very interrupted education. And another part that we were found out of compliance was with a yearly program evaluation. And as mentioned before, now that we are making some consistency across sites, we will be able to actually look at and evaluate the program across the district and how each school is doing it, because they're doing the same assessments and the same curriculum. Another thank you to the board was the approval of our intake counselor for newcomer students and families. It has been an amazing success so far. So Leti Barajas, she was a longtime counselor, ML counselor at Capuchino High School, and is now serving in this position, has a lot of experience working with these families and students. She has been able to provide really individualized newcomer student and family support during the enrollment time. Our transcript evaluation process was kind of messy. It was different at each site. Students were getting credits different ways. So we have spent a lot of time looking at the credits and stabilizing the consistency of how credits are received. And then the other piece too is that we had a goal of ensuring that students who enroll and are seated in the classroom within 7 days of their first contact with the district office. Since September 25th, we've had 82 students placed within 7 days and 18 students placed within 8 days. And the only reason they got into 8 days was that their initial LPAC wasn't available to start the day it was supposed to. So really happy that that's going so well. The other part of this position is that Leti will be a dual enrollment or a college instructor, and we are aiming to start that course for the first time in the fall of 2025. So some of our family engagement highlights. We continue to have family engagement coordinators at all of our sites, and they are their front line for our families. They do workshops for our families around how to use Canvas, how to use Aries. A lot of them, this is all new. There's multiple workshops throughout the week and every month. They're building community with our families, have cultural events, and they help at our back to school night, open house. This year, they also started a new newsletter, and each site has their own specific newsletter about news and events that are happening, and it's in Spanish and sent out to all of our multilingual learner families. We also have our DLAC, our District English Learner Advisory Committee. We meet monthly, and it is probably one of my favorite parts of my job is meeting with those families. I love hearing their voice, and they are very active in the meetings and active in providing advice to the district. And, you know, we had our meeting last week, and one parent, we were having a conversation. I wanted to share this, and out of the question was nothing around this, but the family and the parents said, that change that we did, this is all in Spanish, but that change that we did where my son is now in all English speaking classes has been the best thing for my son. And he said his English was not progressing because he didn't need to learn it, but now he sits in class and everything's in English. And if he doesn't learn it, he's not going to understand it. So it was really exciting for me to hear a parent say that. And then the other thing I would highlight in terms of some family engagement is that one of the processes that we've changed in enrollment is now talking with the parents about not only the age the student is and what grade level they should be in, but also how many credits they're coming in with. So we have had, I wrote the data down, I think it was 33 families this year so far who have opted for one grade level lower than what their age is. And what that allows for them is that the students will be able to complete their high school graduation requirements by 12th grade. One of the other things I want to highlight is our wellness and community partnerships. So we have 2 newcomer school social workers, and they serve our 4 newcomer programs. So they literally spend 2.5 days at each of their schools, Bridge, Cappuccino, Hillsdale, and San Mateo High School. And so you will rarely see them in the office because they are truly school social workers. They are involved and support the Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention teams at each of their sites. They assess students for mental health and connecting families with services and providing crisis intervention. Another huge piece of their work is connecting families and students to our community partners that can support the families even further. So on this next slide, we have some photos of some of the events that we've already had this year. We had our legal aid workshop on December 5th, which we had some information for our immigrant families and their rights. And then we also have the Medi-Cal clinic, which is extremely important because a lot of our families come in without health insurance, and then they have a hard time filling out the forms. So we have these clinics where the families can come in, get help filling out the forms, and ensure that they have health insurance. In our next slide, this highlights again the same programs and how they have grown over the last 2 years. One new partnership that we're very excited about is the Peninsula Family Services. We are piloting a program around financial literacy. There will be financial literacy workshops for our students, and then financial educational workshops for our parents and caregivers, and this will be launching in January of 2025. This next slide just gives you more information about each of these agencies. I'm not going to read through them, but it just lists more of what the services that they are providing to our students and families. So moving forward, one of the things that we truly believe is that the changes we are making are the changes necessary to help our students improve their English, be successful, and be able to graduate. We need to continue to center our students and advocate for our ML students. We also need to be holding all of each other accountable for change. This is, as we say, a 10-6-1. We are all a part of this and all need to be involved in the change. And the change that we're making needs to be around focused goals that are measurable and that we can account for to be able to tell us if we're doing the right thing or not. And the best now is our students. So I'm going to ask you guys to line up here. And so I have the questions posted up here. I'm going to ask one question and then they're each going to answer their question. Char, I think they're going to just come up here. So first question, what is your name, grade, school you attend, and where are you from?
So hi, my name is Angel de la Cruz, and oh sorry. Hi, my name is Angel de la Cruz, and I'm from Mexico. I was born in Utah, but I was raised in Mexico. I came back to the United States when I was 14 years old to learn more English and to improve myself. And also, I go to his high school. Second one.
Hi. Hi everyone, my name is Maybelline. I'm a junior from SMUHSD High School and I came from El Salvador 3 years ago.
Hi everyone, my name is Angelica Vasquez. I'm a sophomore in Hillsdale High School and I came to United States like 1.5 years.
Good evening, I'm Marbella Ruiz. I'm senior from Capuchino High School and I'm from Nicaragua.
Hello, my name is Jair Guadalupe. I am in 12th grade and I attend to Capuchino High School and I am from Mexico.
Hello, my name is Brian Hernandez and I'm in 12th grade. I attend in Capuchino High School and I'm from Costa Rica.
All right, our second question. How is your experience at school this year compared to last year?
This year has been more difficult than the last year because this year I am a senior and all my classes are more challenging. As a seniors, we have to do more writing, and all of my classes and writing is my weakness. I work very hard to get my grades up, but sometimes has been stressful.
Moving from LD to regular English has been a challenge for me, but also it was a very important success for me. And comparing this year from last year, this year I feel more confident to participate in my classes and I feel more confident with my level of English than last year.
They're having a lot of changes during the transition from the multilingual learning program to the standard program. At first, I was scared moving to a new place, like where everyone speaks English. But then I realized that there was nothing to be scared of, because all of my teachers have been really supportive and always encouraged me to do my best and to get out of my comfort zone. And my classmates always make me feel comfortable, and I never feel that I will get teased for saying something wrong or incorrect.
My experience in the school compared to the last year was so good because I can experimenting how starting the school in August because when I come to this country and enter to the school, it was almost to the end to the first semester. And I feel a little scared, nervous because I don't know how can I handle the school in this country. And I think that during the spring semester was like a process for me for a doctor in there and handle there. And also I feel so bad for myself for finish this semester in Capuchino High School.
Comparing to last year, this year, I am participating more in sports and clubs. I am the boys varsity soccer team and part of ML Club.
This school year has been more difficult compared to last year because if I lose focus for a little bit, I get lost and I really need to pay attention all the time.
I forgot to add one thing, that most of these students have recently transitioned from the newcomer program to the standard program. Third question, what are some things your teachers have done that helps you be successful in class?
All my teachers help me when I feel confused and when I don't understand. Most of my classes use computers, something that I'm not used to but all my teachers make sure they help me. They also remind me when my attendance is bad or when I'm failing a class. My teachers are very supportive and always give me advice when I need it.
My teachers play a very important role in my success in class because they create an environment where I wasn't afraid to make mistakes, and they were always telling me that make mistake is part of the learning process.
My teachers have been very helpful, and I'm very glad for all the support that they give me. And some of the things that they do is that they are always checking if I'm understanding or if I need help with something. I can always ask them. They also offer support or help during office hours or tutorial, which really helped me in some of my classes that I was having a hard time with.
The thing that the teacher have for help me is like, for example, give me a paper in Spanish for understand better the topic what we're talking about on that day, and also they ask me question and I feel okay or I need help, and also they try to participate in all the activities that we're doing in class.
Some things that my teacher have done to help me be successful in class is taking time to answer all my questions and taking some breaks during class to stretch.
My teachers take extra time to explain the classwork to make it easier to understand.
The next question is, what makes you feel welcome at school?
Some things that make me feel welcome in the school is that all the teachers are nice and always say hi to the students and they also ask about your day. Another thing that makes me feel welcome in the school is the support my ETA group brings me. This group feels like my family because when I need help with something like my homework or problems outside of class, they are they are there for you and care about you. Also, they give you motivation to improve yourself.
I feel welcome at school when people are kind and patient with me and when they respect my level of English, and also when they make me feel included in everything and no matter what that is.
Something that makes me feel welcome at school is that everyone in campus can support you and help you if you need it. And I feel like I have a lot of support from staff members, especially Mr. Boyce, because when I need help, he always knows how to help me.
When I wake up in the morning and I go to school, it's early and I so a little tired, and the teacher has a good ad, like for example, "Hi everybody, how about your day?" I'm so excited, and that I think that behavior made me so welcome in the high school.
The staff of Cappuccino makes me feel welcome. One example of this is the club's events Mr. Castillo organizes every month where students come together and have fun.
In general, my teachers and Mr. Castillo are very caring and understanding.
The final question is, what is a goal that each of you has for next semester?
For the next semester, I have many goals to complete. One of the goals is learning more English and complete all my credits for graduation.
One goal that I have for myself for next semester is to continue learning and ignore the barriers that prevent me from fulfilling my dreams, and to continue learning new things more and to have better skills in my English and to show to myself what I'm capable of achieve with responsibility, discipline, and determination.
My goal for the next semester is to succeed in all my classes, keep my good grades, and also get involved in more extracurricular activities.
One goal that I have for the next semester is be part of a team sport and enjoy this last semester of that last year in the high school, and also getting the grade that I need to finally graduate from Cappuccino High School.
My goal for next semester is to graduate from Capuchino High School and improve my English.
My goals for next semester is go to college and keep playing soccer. And I will say, I don't know, improve my grades and everything I do.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you so much for being here. Have a seat because they might have some questions for you. I just have one more thing to say, but the board might have a few questions for you, okay? I also want to thank our APs, Lauren Ponte and Jesse Boyes, for being here and helping me prepare the students, and our ML specialist, Sal Castillo, who's also our ML club coordinator, who helped prepare our students as well for tonight.
Great job.
Yeah.
Yes.
So really, I just want to summarize a little bit of tonight. And some of the summary is that, you know, our enrollment continues to show that our overall ML population is steady. We're at about 12%. We've been at about 12% for the last 3 years at least, with our newcomer students at about 50%. The data also shows that our MLs do continue to have our lowest graduation rate and that our English progress indicator is inconsistent from year to year. But our commitment to success is around family engagement, continuing to really increase our family engagement and communication with them, professional development for teachers, administrators, all educators in the district, increasing supports for our newcomer students and families in particular, and building the capacity of all of our schools so that they can all serve our students adequately. I do want to ask, our students do still have finals tomorrow. So if you have questions for them, if they can go first, that would be fantastic so we can let them go.
Okay. Well, thank you. I want to personally thank, well, I'm gonna, on behalf of the board, very seldom do I speak for the board, Lord knows, but I want to thank you, the students, for being willing to stand up here and, you know, communicate with us, ask, you know, show your emotions, your express, you know, your difficulties, your challenges, what makes you, you know, what makes you feel good about school. It's not easy for anybody, and certainly it had to be difficult for students, and I really appreciate that. So, having said that, let's start focusing on the student questions. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, do you have any?
I just wanted to echo what you were saying. Thank you so much for being here. And I guess if one of you wants to answer, if anything, what would you say to other students who are feeling kind of, you know, scared about progressing to the different classes? What advice would you give to them? Or to the newer students that are just coming from other countries? Not everybody at once.
I will tell them to keep working hard because every sacrifice have his like it's every sacrifice has its consequence or something like that. So but they have to keep working, and if they can dream it, they can get it.
Good.
Good advice.
Good. Thank you. And you can be a mentor to them, you know, so pay it forward. Thank you.
Trustee Lamb.
I just want to say, I think it's incredibly brave to be able to go up. You're learning English and you came up and present. It's hard for adults to do that. And for you guys to all come up and be so well spoken and really articulate and talk about what you feel. I just have one question, but I really want to thank you. I think it's really hard to do this, and you guys did a great job. So thank you. Do you miss, how was it getting, I know this was one of the questions, but from a personal standpoint, do you miss the newcomer center and that the school that you were there, or you're really enjoying your new environment at your high school that you're going to now? Are you all happy to be at your new high schools and really excited about it, or you want to go back?
Come up, thank you.
Oh.
All right, so something I miss from my classes from Mildy is all my friends. But something bad from there, I'm just gonna say it's not bad. But the thing you pass time more with people that you speak Spanish, and so you're not learning nothing. So you need to like to practice more. I mean, like try to hang out, I don't know, with the older boys, and try to learn something from them. I mean, like you can improve yourself. For me, for learning English, they take me 4 years. So one thing that a lot helped me to learn more English was the music, and I don't know, meet more people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that. That's it for me.
Okay. Trustee Jacobson.
I don't have any questions for the students. I just want to thank you for being here and sharing with us tonight. Good luck with your finals.
Trustee Chavez.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I just want to congratulate all of you for all the effort you made in the past couple of years. Some of you are almost graduating. That's exciting. And I'm just so proud of all 6 of you. You did amazing up at the microphone. You articulated yourself very well. And I wanted to mention, I want to give a plug for the school site council. I was on the school site council for a couple of years at Cappuccino High School. And we had all grade, we had student leaders attend those meetings, the monthly meetings. We had students represented from all grade levels, all 4 grade levels, but we also had student representation from the multilingual students, student club. I guess it was a student club. So I would just want to mention how important your thoughts and concerns are as far as the student leadership at the school site council. So whatever school that you attend, I think it's really important if you want to get involved in the school site council meeting, because your opinion and your thoughts are important. And thank you again for speaking tonight.
Okay, so I think those are the questions for the students if they want to.
I just had one that I thought of just now,
Okay.
if that's okay. I'm just curious, do any of you have a job outside of school? 1, 2 of you? Yeah, okay. Does that affect your ability to come to school? Okay, good.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, come on.
I gonna be honest, like have a job right here, like good for me because I improve my English like a lot of times, and I think that's it, like for me.
Thank you.
For sure, it's more challenging. So we commend you for working and going to and attending school.
So I mean, we do have a couple of, I believe we have a couple more questions, but not for the students. So
Yeah.
we thank them for your participation.
Good luck on finals.
Thank you again.
Thank you again.
And thank you to the staff who came to support them.
I just want to say thank you for inviting me here, and it was a pleasure to be here.
Oh.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Okay,
you.
man.
And thank you to the parents for coming and supporting.
Thank you.
I just also, before they leave, I wanted to highlight like a couple of the people I spoke about tonight. Our newcomer social workers are here. That's Teresa de Anda and Lisa Mejia Sandoval. And then our new intake counselor, Leticia Barajas. So just wanted to thank them as well. They help all these students and are awesome people to work with. Okay, you can go. Thank you.
I was gonna say
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about the ML club
Uh-huh.
and who organizes that and how does it work?
Sure.
I didn't know if they wanted to answer. Yeah.
I mean, Michelle, do you want to talk about it?
I'm sorry. I knew he was leaving. I was like, no, don't leave. I have a question for you. No, I wanted to know. Yeah.
So the ML Club was actually an idea of myself and a couple other people at Cappuccino, where a lot of students, I feel like they want to hang out after school, but since there's nothing to do, they'll just go to like a McDonald's or they would go somewhere. So I had an idea to do some like after school things. And something that helped me out was being the ELD soccer coach. I got to really know a lot of the students, and it was the same year that I was doing the MLS position that I'm currently in. So Mr. Rodriguez, who's the assistant principal at Cappuccino, was the one that told me to do it, even though I was kind of hesitant. And I'm really glad that I did that because two of the boys that were here today were from the ELD soccer team. So they're kind of,
Okay.
you know, they thanked me because I've kind of been in their high school life these years. So, but yeah, the ML Club today, actually, we had an event. We did like a gingerbread making contest, and we made some hot chocolate. So kind of a holiday themed thing. But last year we had a field trip to the Exploratorium. And we have like a Halloween theme thing, Thanksgiving potluck, which has kind of become a yearly tradition now. So yeah, I'm just trying to make these events so hopefully these students come by, and we've had some really good participation numbers. So what was that?
Field day.
Oh yeah, and field day. So at the end of the year, we do like these it's a FIELD field day. And we have all these games where we have the 3 different ML English levels. So like ML English 1, 2, and 3. Their teams, they get their own personalized shirt that they design. We get those printed out for them. They wear them on the day, and then they play against each other in various games, you know, like there's like kickball, like penalty kicks, Jenga, and all these other things. And then the winner gets a trophy that the teacher gets to put in their classroom for the whole year. So every year it's just trying to see who gets that trophy. And then actually our principal, Mr. Gomez, he's actually great on the grill. He'll he cooks up some burgers and hot dogs. And so just a really nice time. So I'm glad to do it, and hopefully can keep doing it.
I'm glad you stayed to be able to talk about it, because what was so impressive was the kids mentioned it about that was the connection that kept them interested in what they're doing and where they're going. So kudos, and really wanted to hear about it. I wanted to copy it for BIS. So
yeah, thank you so much for asking about it, because I love talking about it. It's a great program.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You know, bye. Thanks, Sal. So Sal is also the ML specialist at Cappuccino, does an awesome job. And while it started at Cappuccino, we then spread the ML Club to San Mateo, to Bridge, and to Hillsdale as well. We created a budget for them so that they could go on these events, and it's been a huge success with also teaching them some of the American culture that they might not be accustomed to during the holidays.
Yeah.
Okay, we focused on the students the first pass around. So if we've got any residual questions as we close this out, we'll give everybody a chance for one last bite at the apple. Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Can you come back to me? Let me get to my notes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see.
I'll take her time. No,
Go ahead. You were next, Trustee Land.
I know. I was joking. I will take up some of her time.
Right.
No, I'm really just first, thank you. I thought that was an incredibly informative presentation, really in depth. Multilingual learners is very important in my world, because, as you know, this is the thing that you said it in your presentation. This is something that all of state of California and all of the country has to deal with, and is not doing it as well as they could. And we need to keep improving it and disrupting it. A couple of questions that I have are really about the chronic. You had a great slide on chronically absent students. In fact, your percentages were pretty darn good compared to mine. And and so my asking is, what do you do in circumstances where there's absences, where things start rising and there's a problem? Do you have solutions? Have you come up with things? Is there strategies that you know that maybe you can share with us, or just kind of tell what's good working, kind of thing?
Well, it really depends on the type of student. So sometimes with our newcomer students, it's external factors that need a lot more attention than some of the interventions that we can do at schools. And so really connecting them to services and figuring out how to modify sometimes their schedule so that they can be able, I know that Ms. Jacobson, you asked those 2 students if work impacts their schedule, and for them it doesn't, but for many students it does, because they have to work during the day, or they have to work earlier in the afternoon, some of them. So it depends. We have our social workers at all of our schools who are either working with our newcomer students, and then our other district social workers who are also working on attendance. And that looks at like really talking to the families and looking at how informing the families of the importance of a lot of times what we find is a connection with a student or a connection with an adult. Today, I did a home visit with a Brazilian student and Ms. Showman from the Bridge Academy. We've been trying to get him back to school. I think we're going to get him back. He has like 2 more classes to graduate. So just that continued persistence of talking to the students. Now, I'm going to not to put you on the spot, but I don't know if the APs in the audience have any addition to like some of your strategies that have worked around attendance with your MLs.
Just to dig in on what Joanna shared, I think it's about just trying to get students to really be open with us about what is the barrier. Because I think oftentimes, particularly our newcomer students, there's a fear around admitting that they're working or a fear around admitting that there's other things going on in their lives. And so I think it's really building that trust. And then what I always tell kids is like, if you tell us what's going on, we can always find a solution. But if we don't know what's going on, I can't read your mind. And so once we know, okay, this is the schedule that you're working, now we can work to move that 7th period to something else, or we can work to do something online if you need. We can be creative and are working with our counselors and our newcomer social workers, particularly with our newcomer students, to do that digging and building that relationship so that we can really get creative. And then I think what I've seen is students, once they earn that trust, they know, okay, wait, I told Ms. Ponte that I was working and she was able to make something happen for me. Then I find them come back to me next semester. My work schedule changed. Can I actually? And I'm like, yes, thank you for telling us. Now we can find some solutions together. So that's been really helpful. But it's having those social workers that can do that, and having our counselors have a caseload where they can build those relationships with students, I think is really key.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, I think like in the newcomer program at Hillsdale, we follow we follow our MTSS structure. And I think the thing that has changed over the last year and a half is we now have robust resources at the tier 2 and tier 3 level, which we didn't previously have. So our initial data scrapes and referrals on attendance it's the same process if you're in the newcomer or the standard program. And we start a 4-week check-in, check-out. But most often for some of our newcomer programs, for students who, when you start looking at graduation data, they haven't attended school in this country for a few years, perhaps in the middle schools, or they're arriving without a biological parent. The challenges they face are far more significant than just having an adult staff member care for them on campus. And so the addition of social workers and mentorship, I think has been a huge benefit to all of us who serve in the newcomer programs. And so adding those resources at the tier 2 and tier 3 level, at least on the school sites, thank you so much. It's been, a huge asset.
Yeah.
Just to continue on, I just have just one or two. What I will say is just kind of echoing what Jesse was talking about. I really feel like we've put in a lot of good systems into place for families. It's incredible to see the pictures of all the presentations that are taking place and that they're attending and families are attending, and the outreach and the DLAC and all of those things. I think I'm so proud of our district, and I'm so proud of all the work that we've done, and I see it, and I could see that success, and it just seeps through what Jesse was just talking about and what we have. My question now is going to shift to curriculum. So I saw the about PD, about UDL, about constructing meaning. I know we've been doing that forever, but I'm so proud of that program that you have to help the students transition. Is there any other types of you talked about curriculum being consistent? The National Geographic, I guess, is what you're talking about. Tell me a little bit more about that curriculum and how it's valuable, and what are you guys doing to expand language development? Because that's where it kind of rests, is oral language development and written development and writing development,
Thank you. No, it's a great question. So for the CLA class and ML English, we have these partnerships with National Geographic. They have actual consumable workbooks that the students are using, as well as it's integrated really well with Canvas, which makes it nice. Focusing a lot on, especially for the designated ELD CLA class, on reading and writing, speaking, listening, critical thinking. So it is very much about global competencies and really being able to do some real world application and thinking about how we're using language. And even though the levels of language are building based on the proficiency, students are really placed in the class based on their proficiency. And we have actually an online placement test with the with National Geographic that they can take in order to see which level of the curriculum is going to be best for meeting them. But the CLA teachers specifically are really working on the ELD standards and trying to make sure that students can have access to all of the different types of language and cognitive functions and everything in all of their courses, which is helpful. But I would say that really having across, being able to have the whole CLA PLC from all the sites meet together a few times a year is very valuable. And being able to unit plan and really backwards design and really dig in. And there's a whole neat Google chat that they all have of, look at this resource I made, look at this. And so it's really neat seeing the cross collaboration that everyone's doing based on it. And that's the same for ML English too, with their levels of the ML English books.
I think the other thing I would add is that we were using some pretty outdated books that, didn't have some necessarily the most relevant topics for our students, didn't include phonics, which some of our students needs, which we're still working on that. But just bringing some new materials that are more up to date on what English language proficiency looks like and developing that.
If you got any of those phonics, let me know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're worried about too. Anyway, awesome presentation. Thank you.
Can I
I'm
have
done.
my spot back?
So Trustee Jacobson, I'll get back.
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very comprehensive. I very much appreciate it. I do have some questions. The first one is going back to the conversation about work outside of school. Is there a way that we can get students high school credit for working outside of school? Because in my mind, when we're talking about college and career readiness, the indicators that you mentioned, taking AP classes, taking dual enrollment, taking A through G, these are all college kind of. The only one that wasn't was CTE pathways. The gal that did my hair yesterday, she told me, this was in Utah, I was in Utah. She told me that she got her hair license in high school and that she got and I said, how on earth did you get enough credits to graduate while you were doing this hair cosmetology program? She said, well, I got some credit for doing it. I got high school credit. So I'm just wondering, I think that it's great for these kids to work. They need to work. And the one kid said, I'm learning English better by working. So can we incentivize the kids to keep working, but also give them high school credit? Is there some way?
So when I was in San Francisco, I ran the college and career department. And one of the things that we did was trying to find exactly a way to do that. And it was probably 3 years ago, though, California changed their requirements for giving credit for work. And there needs to be specific curriculum that is taught while they're working to be able to get that high school credit. So that is the one requirement. And a lot of the jobs that our students are in are places that are not going to be willing to provide curriculum as well. But one way to do it is also through college courses where you can be doing, there's at Skyline and most of the colleges, they have programs that are at Skyline. It's called a co-op program, and that's they're on the job and then they're doing goals, etc., getting credit, and they can be, so then that way they're getting credit that also goes towards their high school graduation.
That would be excellent. I would love to see something like that being more utilized. Yeah. Next question. So one thing that we didn't, one group that we didn't hear from tonight was the teachers. I know that some teachers have some concerns that we've heard. And I did hear from some of the students as we were asking them, what helps you in school or what helps you succeed? I heard many of them say the same thing, which was the teachers take extra time to explain things. They take time to answer my questions. And my question is, if teachers are taking extra time to do that, how does that affect the pacing and the amount of content that they're able to present? Because if it's like, if they have to slow down, especially like in an AP class, there's so much content that has to be covered. That is a concern of mine, is how is it impacting the rest of the students?
So I think one of the things that we try to talk to our teachers about is around, well, one, differentiating the instruction, but also providing spaces where there are different groups working on different things in the classroom. So while a student who might not be needing extra help on this one particular part of the curriculum, they might be doing smaller group work with other students who are focusing on that part. That is easier said than done, but it is possible to do. It takes training, but that is how we see a lot of classrooms being run, where you have heterogeneous classrooms with students at different levels.
Okay, thanks.
And then in terms of AP, we don't see a lot of our MLs in AP classes yet, so I don't see that really impacting AP classes in particular, but I do hear
Sure.
that happening, yes.
Sure. Okay, I think one more question. So you said that in the ML English classes, you will move on to the next level as long as you're passing the class. Do teachers have a hard time knowing how to grade students? This is coming from the letter that one teacher wrote. If they grade the student, I guess to put it bluntly, what about mercy grades? Are we giving mercy grades, or conversely, are teachers incentivized to fail students because they're not mastering the content standards, but they're giving good participation? I don't know. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I totally understand what
Okay.
you're saying. I think that's also part of the new curriculum. With the ML English curriculum, there are benchmarks that the students are meeting or trying to meet. So the teachers are being very clearly guided for the ML English of what benchmarks the students have met and have not met. We also have implemented a new assessment that is tracking students' reading ability or progress, I should say. And one of the things that Exact Path does, it identifies the gaps in the students' skills. And then what it provides is individualized lessons for a student in order to work on that gap independently in the class. So they do have very specific guidelines in order to be tracking progress for students and when they are ready to move along in ML English. And, I want to remind that the designated ELD, they're not required to move them forward every year. That is the class that is designed for development of English proficiency. So if students are not quite ready in their English proficiency, they can stay at the same level of their designated ELD. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask the remaining speakers to ask their most important question. Then I'm going to call on the student board members. Then I'm going to call on the public, and Trustee Andrade Zuniga, that was not a slight, but if you have something else you want to question, please.
I'll email you. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, it's okay.
And I'm going to get
Sure.
to you, Trustee Chavez. No, for trustees.
Well, I also want Trustee Andrade Zuniga to be able to speak too.
Mhm.
I don't have that many questions. I want to say thank you for this, for your amazing presentation and those amazing students speaking there. I don't know many students who are willing to come to the podium to speak, and they did an amazing job. You guys really supported them, staff really supported them, and I'm sure their families did as well. But I just think that they were just amazing. And I don't want to I know I'm the emotional one of the group, so I have a couple of things to mention. This is really important work, and continuing to make progress is so critical. My question is, how can we support the teachers and staff and yourselves more? What can we do to be more supportive? I know you mentioned throughout the slide deck that a couple of the FTEs, you really appreciate it, totally moved the needle. How can we support more?
I mean, I think, we provide a lot of professional learning opportunities. And then there's not necessarily the mentoring that the teachers get after in terms of implementing the things that they learn at the PDs. So that's one thing that would be nice to be able to provide teachers, is at that level being able to go to their school site and then show them how to implement it within their own content area. And something that Nicole said is we're still trying to figure out what we need to do to support teachers to want to come to the PD. They don't want to be away from their classrooms. They don't want to be away from their students. They also want to take their summer break. So we have to continue to find a way that we can get the teachers to come so that they can participate
Yeah.
in the learning.
Totally makes sense. And
Yeah.
thank you. And I want one more quick comment. I just want to thank you for highlighting and showcasing our partnership programs such as Medi-Cal, Cora, Peninsula Family Services, and more on this on the slide deck, because it's really important for all of our families to know that those support services exist. And so thank you for showcasing that. And also thank you for talking about how important family engagement is. And do you think that the more we're involved with family engagement, the more engaged the families are, I would think that that helps with the absenteeism as well. Is that correct?
I
Yeah,
would
definitely,
hope
right?
so, you
Yeah,
know, and I think
so.
part of our district social workers, the ones that are not the newcomer social workers, that's part of their focus, is working on attendance and the importance of attendance and engaging the families to learn about attendance and the importance of attendance. So I hope that that is a way that we will continue to increase attendance.
And I think you've done such a great job of having all those family engagement activities and workshops. So that definitely helps. So thank you again for everything, for your presentation. Thanks.
You know, you had about 3 or 4 comments in one breath, and you thought that was I'm just lightening it up. Do either of our student board members wish to comment?
Yes, so I'd like to quickly reiterate what Trustee Chavez said. I thought that the presentation was thoughtfully created and presented, and I especially want to commend the students that came tonight, because especially from their goals of wanting to learn more English and their explanation of their experience in the classroom, they have been again and again, taking that effort to step out of their comfort zone and really grow, which I can say is an amazing stride and accomplishment for them, especially comparing to the average high school student's disposition. Kind of a clarification question I had was on the specific slide of reclassification rates, where we discussed that in 2022 through 2023, there was an increase in reclassification because CAST tests were retaken. And we noted that in 2023 through 2024, there was about a 3% increase comparing to a previous year. Was that in comparison to 2021 through 2022? Or was that pre-COVID?
No, yeah, it was comparing 2021-22 to 2023-24.
So what were the reclassification rates kind of just estimated pre-COVID?
Honestly, I'd have to look that up. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have any questions for you tonight, and although the students are no longer here, I would just like to thank them for being here, because their voices are incredibly important. And as student representatives like them, it's really amazing to see them step up and really speak for themselves. I thank them.
Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. I offered her and she said she'd email.
I think
But
it's okay.
Then we don't get the benefit of hearing what you're.
It's
asking.
9:15.
I know, I don't want to hear you.
I'm good. Really.
You
Don't worry
know,
about it.
one of the things, and I'm charged with a couple of things, following the agenda and moving the meeting along, because if we get to 10 o'clock, then we have to go through the assessment. Now, this is probably one of the most important things we ever do. And we spent a lot of time last week on budget. And, and clearly every time we come and have the opportunity to talk about an academic area and improving outcomes, we all get engaged. I mean, and it is important, but I'm making friends and enemies depending on how many, you know, how many times you get to.
Well, but it's got to be fair. I mean, if
Yeah,
we're gonna
no, and
That's
tell
why I wanted
everybody
you
to
to
have
speak,
the same
Elia.
amount of questions, you can't give, certain board members
well, that's good.
time to
They,
talk and then the rest of us
That's why,
no.
that's
Well,
why
that
I
was-
wanted you to
That's
be able
not
to speak
fair.
right now because we want to hear what you want to say.
Well,
I
still,
think if you wanted to talk, you think you should talk.
I mean, I'm not, I'm good. Thanks.
because, you know, it's difficult to, actually, it's difficult to stop people from talking once they get started, but I don't want to abridge anybody's right to speak. So, I encourage you, but we'll do a better job of, managing the agenda next time we put it together. So, anyway, we'll move on to section or Department S, construction. Is there anything to discuss?
No.
Nothing. Okay. We'll move on to Division of Human Resources Personnel Consent Agenda.
Yes, we have a consent agenda with 8 items for approval, personnel consent.
I make the motion to approve unless somebody wanted to pull something for discussion.
You know, before we go there, I did not ask for, and it's public comment on that last item.
There were no public comments requests.
I've- okay, then we'll move on to,
Is this, let me just make sure this is on the consent. Yeah. On the number 3, the CTE teacher.
you'll pull it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I amend my.
It's not that I wouldn't approve it. I just had a
No,
question.
Yeah,
about
that's
is
why
that-
we pull it. So then I amend my motion I want to amend the motion to approve the consent agenda except item number 3, which is being pulled.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Oh, is there any comments or discussion on part of the board? Okay, is there any on the part of the public?
There are none.
Okay, and that's online or in-house. Okay, thank you. Okay, call for the vote. How do we vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, the item passes 5-0. And now we will move back to, was it item 3?
Mhm.
Yes. So when I read this, it said that this person is going to be developing 2 new CTE pathways. My question is, have those pathways been identified yet? And if so, how was it determined what they will be?
So there are 2 pathways that have been identified. We haven't received the grant for these positions as of yet. We're putting them, we're posting it as in hopes that we do get the grant. The 2 areas are business and then a medical pathway. And they're based on student interest, for one. And then the second one, we always have to find potential teachers. So we actually have a potential individual that can help develop the business pathway in particular. So we're hoping that the funding comes through and that we're able to begin them. So there has been a little bit of trouble with this grant where they've promised the fundings, pulled it back, and then promised it again. So we're hoping that we'll hear in the new year for it. But those are the 2 areas that we're looking at.
I do hope so. It would be great if I don't know what the medical one is, but it would be great if the kids could get a medical assistant certificate or something like that at the end of it.
Yeah, and if
Something that's
after 9, I
marketable.
forget exactly what it is, but I will find that out specifically and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Do I move to approve that one separately?
We just need a
or-
motion of somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to approve item 3.
Second.
Go ahead.
Okay, we have a motion and second on item T3. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded that one? I missed it. Sorry. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, Division of Human Resources.
Yes, the first item is the personnel actions addendum. There aren't any special recognitions today.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
I make a motion to approve the personnel actions addendum.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any, just no comments online or in person? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes 5-0, and we'll move on to U2.
The second item is the summary of financial terms of the employment agreement for the superintendent, which will be recommended on the next item. The district, let's see, before the approval of the superintendent's employment agreement, a verbal summary of the financial terms must be read in open session. So I'll read those now unless you want to do that.
No, thank you.
No, okay. The base salary of the superintendent's contract for recommendation at the next item will be $362,000 based on a 224 workday year. It will include health and welfare benefits up to $33,551.90, and then transportation and cell phone reimbursements of $275 a month, and various subscriptions, memberships, and reimbursements for approved district expenses. That's item 2.
Okay.
Item three is the recommendation for the amendment to the employment agreement for the superintendent for the 24-25 school year. We
Okay.
recommend.
Any questions or comments? The board?
There's no question or comments. I'll move to approve.
There's a second.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments from the public in person or online?
No, who was the second? My apologies.
It was
me.
Jennifer.
Okay, before I call for the vote, I've wanted to say something so that I think the public and our stakeholders, constituents understand at least and this is my statement, my thought process on the superintendent's evaluation and his contract. Since Superintendent Booker has joined us a couple of years ago, I think he's demonstrated a willingness to take on new challenges, to think outside of the box. He's shown leadership, commitment, and dedication to the success and welfare of the entire, the district, the students, and the employees. When we hired him, I think we considered a lot of factors in setting his salary and negotiating a contract, and that included prior experience, demonstrated capabilities, the amount of responsibilities that he had. And since he's come here, I think he's taken on tough tasks, just like this multi-language learning presentation, and he's pointed up blind spots in our collective vision. And then we were talking about things like school safety, and welfare. He's shined light on areas that we need attention, and he's taken on those challenges. I looked myself at the salaries, and how we compared salaries with other districts of comparable responsibilities. I've tried to in my own mind recognize the scope of his responsibilities, and I think the adjustment lines up with our commitment to attract and retain top talent, ensuring that we maintain strong leadership to serve our students. And I think that I'm confident that this adjustment reflects the superintendent's values to our district and to stakeholders. And I definitely support this contract amendment. And I thank you for your effort. We're not a easy crew to work with. And and I
As
guess
shown tonight. No.
and I guess one of the things, if I had to say what your biggest challenge was, is dealing with this board. I mean, we were kind of finding we're still working our sea legs and finding our identity collectively. And you made us read that, I won't say that dumb book, but you made us read that book,
Darn book.
And and I appreciated it.
Well, the new version just came out, and I'm about halfway through it so far.
You had to start that.
About
Anyway.
halfway through, so get ready.
Anyway, I just wanted to express, I spend my money like I'm a taxpayer, and I try to make sure we get value. So that's my thought on it. If anybody wishes to, Trustee Land.
So in honor of brevity, I'm just going to say one thing, but it needs to be sincere. Ditto.
Yeah.
But completely.
Yeah.
I'll just say that I agree as well.
Yeah.
I'll say that, yes, we discussed this statement together before, and we are in agreement of what Trustee Griffin has said.
Okay, so we have a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just wanted
You've
to
got
say
flowers in the
that
way. That's why you can't see her.
you definitely proved me wrong. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And as your next task, would you move her flowers so I can see her?
Oh my gosh.
I think that's why he's blowing you
Yeah,
off. He
yeah,
can't even see you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you could have put them on the other side. I just,
No, but they're beautiful.
Okay.
They're nice flowers, though.
Well.
Okay, well, we're gonna,
Plug. Keep going.
yeah.
Yes, the next item is to approve 3 more contracts for non-represented employees. One administrator has moved positions, and then 2 will be new. 2 administrators have moved position and 1 is new to the district. If I may, I'll read those out. The terms for Valerie Arbizu, Director of Student Service Interim, salary $145,927, 126 work days. That's prorated based on an annualized salary of $247,843 on a 221-day work year. Okay, Barry Tyler, Assistant Principal, Interim, Burlingame High School, salary $91,900, 103 and a half work days. That's prorated on an annualized salary of $190,000 and $190,014. And that's 214-day work year. The third one is Janora Lewis, Assistant Principal Interim at Peninsula High School. Salary $98,559, 111 work days, prorated on an annualized salary of $190,014 with a 214-day work year. And those are recommended for approval.
Okay, does the board have any wish to discuss this item? Have any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve that.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments online or in?
There are none.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the item passes.
Just do a point of clarification. I just wanted to make sure that for the item 2 and item 3, that the motion and the second for Superintendent Booker's employment contract and also the approval of the amendment that was a joint
Well, he had
motion.
moved-
Yeah, just want to make sure that was so there's no confusion that there was a joint because it was 2 items. Item
Well,
2 and
no,
3.
2 is not a voting item. 3 is the voting
Oh,
item.
I see. I see.
Yeah,
I see.
it was
One's
a
just a
presentation.
summary
Just
and
want to make sure
information.
Yeah.
that we combine those.
One's a summary and one's
Summary,
the,
okay.
You have to do it that way.
And I think he presented the summary and then he moved on to the
to the
actual
now you
action
have to
item.
approve it. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Did we done with that one? Okay, the
Okay,
next.
And then we'll go to
Oh,
your
sorry.
top 5.
Okay, so the next item and the one following is on the contract proposal reopeners for the American Federation of Teachers at our adult school. This item is an information item, and that should be followed by a public public hearing. So no- so this item is for information and then
Okay,
followed
any
by a public
questions or comments? Okay, we move on to item 6.
Then that's the public hearing.
Get your gavel out.
Okay, we opened the public hearing. Are there any comments?
There are none.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing. Move on to item 7.
Yes, this is the approval for a classified position, Bridge to Bridge Coordinator at Hillsdale High School. It's for the empowerment program. I think it was mentioned tonight, and the bridge is from the middle school to the high school and then from the high school to the college. And this will be a Bridge to Bridge Coordinator, and we recommend approval of the job description.
If no comments, I'll move.
I just wanted to ask, is this a position that already exists?
No, it's a new position.
It's a new position.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Are you saying this was part of ATF that?
Yes, and
Is
for
it-
empowerment through ETA and
Yeah.
action.
Is it funded through E ETA?
Yes, it's funded through
Okay.
ETA, yes.
Well, there you go. We got our questions answered.
Thank you. Okay,
No.
great.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, we have a
I already
motion.
moved.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
No,
Second
she moved.
again.
You do it. You two
Thank
do it.
you.
So we got
I'm
a
just
mo-
brevity. I just want to.
Yeah. it's
We
fine.
got a motion and we have a second. Are there any questions or any comments? Okay. Okay, all in favor?
I.
Aye. Okay, item 7 passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 8.
Item 8 is a job description revision and title change from the Capital Facilities Fiscal Manager to Capital Facilities Manager. We redrafted the job description to focus more on the facilities and less on the fiscal aspect that we needed before we incorporated a non-represented position that's going to take care of that part.
Okay. Any questions, any comments, discussion? Okay,
There are none.
okay, is there a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Division Y, Student Services, we have any? No.
Not tonight.
Okay, W, Division of Instructional Services,
Same, not tonight.
okay. Item X, Division of Business Services.
All right, all right, thank you. We're pulling up a presentation here. While we're doing that, I'd just like to start by thanking the fiscal team. As I've noted before, they do the vast majority of this work, and I just get to come up and give the board an update on where we are. Where we are is at first interim. First interim is the first of the 3 major budget updates that we will give during the year. The second will be second interim in March, and then the estimated actuals that come with the proposed adopted budget in June. All right. First interim includes all the activity in the district, financial activity through October 31st of this year. Tonight, we'll go over the key themes and takeaways. Look at the budget calendar, talk about significant changes since the budget adoption, look at our budget assumptions, look at the actual numbers, and then get into the multi-year projection, talk about the positive certification that I'm asking for the board to approve tonight, and then go over our step down of one-time expenditures that we talked in depth about last week, so I won't spend too much time on it. And then we'll end with our future considerations, things to be looking at. In terms of our key themes and takeaway, we still are looking at the long-term fiscal impact of the one-time COVID-19 funding, and we'll hit on that later in the presentation. We still see continued negative pressure from state mandated pension rates, although the STRS rate has stabilized at 19.1%. We'll look at, as you may have seen some of the news today, continued interest rate pressures and which impact our mortgages and impact potentially home prices, which then potentially impact our assessed value increases. As Craig noted earlier tonight, I do say this a lot, and it is really a testament to this board and the financial team that we are in a strong financial position to face these challenges that we're moving ahead with. And as always, we are a community-funded district, but we also have to look at the state economy and the potential budget deficits at the state level. In terms of budget calendar, I noted we're here. We're at first interim, capturing all activity through October 31st, and we'll be moving forward into second interim. But at that point, we really start looking at the 25-26 budget. In terms of significant changes since budget adoption, we have seen a decent improvement. That is due to secured taxes coming in a little bit higher, a couple $1 million higher than we had at the budget adoption. We also saw unsecured taxes come in about $1 million higher. Of those two, the secured taxes are more important because those are ongoing taxes, whereas the unsecured money is one time. In terms of staffing, we've now staffed based on actual enrollment and staffing and placement. So our staffing numbers should look pretty good with the exception of potentially unfilled positions going through the rest of the year. In terms of one-time commitments, we have about $1.1 million of site carryover. So that was not included in the budget adoption, but has been included in first interim. We have just under $300,000 in emergency preparedness that was set aside by the board and that the superintendent is working on. And we have a $2.4 million one-time contribution to health and welfare. We talked about that last week. It'll be an important thing to monitor as we move forward. That is for calendar 25-26. I'm sorry, calendar 25. And that's why you'll note that the impact is split between 25-26 and 26-27. In terms of budget assumptions, I'll just hit on two quick things. As you can see, the out years include 3.5% assessed value growth. But as you can see, in terms of salary increases in the out years, we don't have a projected salary increase because we have not negotiated that. So it's important when we look at the multi-year projections to note that they do have some assessed value growth built in, but no salary increases. It gets down to the number. We're looking at, hold on, I apologize. The main change from the adopted budget to first interim is actually the posting of the actuals on restricted funding. As the board knows, when we post back our restricted fund balance, then we also post the expenditures for that for both our ending fund balance grants as well as our deferred revenue grants. This is a pretty detailed slide, but I just want to get into a couple of numbers. As we noted last week, we want to focus on the unrestricted side of the budget. So for 24-25, we see just over a $2 million excess of expenditures over revenues. But I do want to note that 1.1 million of that is one time in terms of our site carryover that has been posted. And then about 300,000 of that is for emergency preparedness one-time allocation. So on an ongoing basis for 24-25, we are showing a very small deficit that I expect us actually probably to make up in the year as we get through the year. In the out years, it's just important to note that we do have the 3.5% built in terms of assessed value growth, but we don't have the raises. So although we have about 3 million and 4.5 million in 25, 26 and 26, 27 respectively. That's without any raises built in, and a little bit over $1.5 million per percent there. In terms of certification, tonight I will be asking the board to approve a positive certification. That means that the district staff believes that we will be able to meet our financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. We went over these next 3 slides last week, so I won't spend too much time on it. But here is the list of major one-time funding still available. That's why you saw that large increase around restricted expenditures. This is the carryover and the spend down of those plans. In terms of the step down of our one-time expenditures, this slide shows the positions currently shown to sunset at the end of June 30th, 2025, and June 30th of 2026. I'm going to hit a note on this slide as I go over the next slide of what are we doing in terms of monitoring and looking at that. One thing we noted in the spring was we'll monitor the budget, explore funding opportunities. One thing actually that's come up literally since last week's budget presentation was we received our formal Title I allocation for the next year, and it saw a bump year over year, and it looks like we will be able to fund 1 FTE out of that positions that were planning on being sunsetted at the end of June 30th, 2026. So we're already, seeing some movement there. So that was one piece of good news that I wanted to let the board know that it's actually not even included in the numbers because those were only through October 31st. But in the fall, we'll gather principal input. We'll hold our annual budget study session, and we'll continue to explore those funding opportunities. And then in the winter, the board will take formal actions on whatever sunsetting is finalized. So future considerations, what keeps me up at night, property tax growth. That's the number one revenue driver. So I'm daily looking at the AV growth website that our county office or the county has for us. We look at the phase out of the one-time funding we just noted over the last couple of slides, and the sunsetting of the positions funded by one-time funding. We'll look at negotiations. Noted a couple times that there's no increases included in that MYP. Health and welfare premiums, we do have a one-time allocation for those this year, but we're going to have to work with our labor partners on figuring out some solutions around health and welfare with the significant increases that we've seen over the last few years. In terms of state mandated pension rates, hopefully we're at the end of the road with the STRS increases, but we still have to monitor the PERS increases. Those have shown the projection of a little less than a 1% increase over the next couple of years in PERS. So hopefully those don't change too much. You'll see in the next couple of months our enrollment projections for 25, 26 and beyond. So, continuing to monitor that and see if we continue to have a slow decline of enrollment in the district, monitoring interest rates, and looking at special education costs and needs over the foreseeable future. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does the board have any questions, any comments?
Yes.
No. You were.
I was hesitant. I only have a few.
Trustee Land.
All right, thanks. So in the first interim financial report page, it went from federal reserves in 23-24 to about 7.4 million, dropped to adopted budget of 3.5, and then first interim is at 4.1. Seems like a big variance. So can you just kind of update me on what the variance is and why so many changes?
So the unaudited actuals, so for last year, you just specifically the federal?
Just federal.
Yeah, for the
And
federal
then I have another
resources.
question after that. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, so for the federal resources, we had some um, additional federal revenue in the prior year, so 23, 24. In 24, 25, our initial budget, we only include our regular allocations. But we, at first interim, the increase is due to the deferred revenue of unspent amounts out of all of our federal grants. They don't end up on our fund balance just because of how the state requires us. They're not technically grants. They're earned when we spend them.
Got it. Okay. Then my next question is in the multi-year.
Yep.
So I'm concerned about the next 2-year predictions for federal money. You have it at about 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Seems pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing from California School Boards Association, federal, their lobbyists, that there could be some concerns about revenue. Is that a concern of yours or not a concern of yours? For the next 2 years.
It's a concern of mine. Of that 3.5 million, a vast majority of it comes from two different sources. The first is federal IDEA or special education dollars. That's about 2 million for us annually. And then the Title I money that I was talking about, it was about 600,000 in these numbers. We actually just got our allocation. It's about 800,000. So we did see a bump there in Title I funding, primarily related to demographics, not necessarily big changes at the federal level. But there is uncertainty at the federal level. We'll have to monitor that. But so I would say I don't have specific concerns that, I'm very worried about IDEA or I'm very worried about. I have general concerns just given some of the
change in
uncertainty that's
administration,
out
et cetera.
there,
Yeah.
a change in administration, and the incoming president's things that he's noted about
Yes.
education. But those are more general concerns.
Last question. So multi-year projections, I don't see percentages reserves. So if you can help me, it helps me understand the 3-year term of how we're doing positively or negatively. So what are our reserves, first interim, 25, 26, and 26, 27 overall? What are our reserves?
So they are still probably under, I don't have the exact number, so I don't want to give you but they're lower than what they were in 23, 24 projected. We have a little bit of a deficit. We were right about 19% in terms of our unrestricted reserve. Our budget is increasing a little bit, and we've got about a $2 million deficit projected to come down. So that probably decreases to around 18%. In the out years, I see those numbers going up a little bit, but those are without.
Up is in the reserve goes up, or in the deficit goes up, and therefore the
No.
reserve goes down?
Sorry, the reserve goes up in 25 and 26 due to, as of right now, we show a $3 million and $4.5 million excess of revenue over expenditures. And so that would bump up, but still under 20% in terms of unrestricted reserve.
Okay, but it helps me.
Yeah.
You're asking for a positive certification. Well,
Yeah.
a healthy reserve is a positive certification. So that's kind of what I've been doing this for years.
Yep.
And that's how I know.
Yep. Well, maybe we can add a percentage on this slide for moving forward.
But I appreciate your.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted
napkin math.
Yeah. But
We will go over that in the study session, right?
I
And you
wasn't
weren't
there. I'm so sorry. I know. So I did a quick question just to make it solve for me. So that was
Perfect.
just for me.
Trustee Chavez, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions because you did an amazing, we spent almost 2 hours in the budget study session, but I do want to thank you and your staff. I love looking at numbers, and I think you guys do an amazing job putting everything together. The only thing that I didn't like was page 10, because I don't like the one-time step down. That's the page I don't like, because I don't like seeing step downs, but I know it's one-time funding and that's necessary to have the one-time step down. One of our CSBA conference speakers had shown us evidence that students still need additional support, even post-COVID. But if we don't have that additional source of the funding, then I understand why we have one-time funding, we have to have a step down. But I wanted to thank you and your staff for putting this together. I know you worked really hard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to Trustee Land's, Superintendent Booker showed me a slide from the budget study session where we did have those percentages. And
Yeah.
so.
Sorry, guys.
No. No, it was a good, because in the adopted budget, we actually showed a deficit in the 2 out years. Some of the positive news around secured property tax growth, some of our other expenditure savings in first interim have improved that out year. And so in that, it actually showed decreasing exactly kind of how you noted that. But
which is very typical. So I'm not too
it's-
worried if it's a dramatic yes, but
Yeah.
if it's insignificant, then I'm fine.
No, but yeah, we did have an improvement from the budget adoption till now. So in one week's time, that has shifted. And
So you're more accurate than what you did the previous presentation.
we're more, give us a little more time and we're a little bit more accurate. So
It sounds like he's doing a great job.
And Nancy,
That's all I'm
I don't know if
saying.
you heard me, but this is the only page I don't like, but everything else
yeah,
was fine.
I'll get off of that page then. Thank you.
The board have any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain.
I make a movement.
Movement.
Movement, huh?
I'd like to adopt a first.
I second that movement,
Okay, we have
that
a
motion.
Positive certification.
Yes.
we have a motion and a second for the adoption of the positive certification. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. And now we'll go to the presentation of the independent auditors report. Normally my favorite part of the whole board meeting. Yuck,
Do
yuck,
we have a
yuck.
big book? No. Goes with this. Right?
All right. So while our auditors are jumping on here, I want to introduce James Marta. James Marta is the audit partner from James Marta and Company. It looks like there's maybe some. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the music video filter or something.
Is that what that is?
Yes. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So yeah, I'd like to introduce James Marta, the district's auditors, and we will go. James, if you just want to tell me next slide, I will move forward in the presentation.
Yancy's going to make sure I move forward good. So we have a short time, so we're going to go through this quickly. So let's just move ahead. And so our job is to do an audit over the district as a whole, but we also have to make sure that we communicate to you certain things. So we're going to go through the audit and the compliance letters. Next. And so the scope of the audit is to do the district audit, but we have a lot of state, federal money that we have to report on, and we have certain elements to report on. Next. Next. So our responsibility is to give an opinion on the financials. So when you look at this 93-page report, you call it the audit report, but really the letter on the front's the audit report. The rest is a representation of your management team. And next. And so we work closely with them. We start in the spring. We do a lot of work throughout the year. I think Valerie had to respond to over 400 different request documents to do this audit. And so a lot of work since the spring through now. Next. We didn't have any issues or disagreements. Next. The biggest estimate on these financial statements are really your pension liabilities, perhaps accounts receivable, but we don't have any real issues with that. Next slide. Audit is more than just matching up the numbers and checking it to reports. We look at the systems, the policies, controls to ensure that they have systems to protect assets, to record them, to meet compliance. Next. We have met, we completed the audit as planned. Next. So on the financial audit, we'll go into some highlights. So we have an unmodified opinion. So as a board member, that's what you want to see, an unmodified opinion. Next slide. Yancy and his team, they work and make a really good management discussion and analysis, a great place for you to look at and understand what's happened during the year. And they have some nice charts and other information that are good to look at in understanding the overall financials. Next. So the financial position, you see that assets have strengthened. Most of that is because of capital assets, but you also have liabilities have added to that. The net position shows a negative. I will tell you that is everything put together. I will explain why that is. And that's mostly because you have bonded debt on there. We have to show the debt, but you don't have to pay it. Those are general obligation bonds. And I have a slide that will show that. We have $897 million of bonded debt, but you have a negative net position of 100 million. So you really operating, you do not have a negative, but that's how we have to show it. Next slide. So these are the financials. You can see on the lower part that negative, but that's because of bonded debt that your district won't pay, the homeowners will. Next slide. So this shows the negative, and over here I have a little chart that shows how much of your debt the homeowners will have to pay, and that's the 897,000. But that does show on your financial statements because, but you get the buildings, but they get the debt. Next slide. So you can see the statement of activities. Your revenues were higher, but as Yancey reported, you have a lot of these one-time fundings going away. You see these total expenditures. Really, the prior year, you had those one-time expenditures that were kind of coming off now, and so you're going back to normalcy. Your financial position did strengthen, but part of that is bonded debt funds that have come in also. Next slide. So this is showing the activities for the year. So you can see where the expenditures are, and instruction and instruction related is the lion's share of that. You can see where your funds come in. And so most of it is local taxes. And so you're considered similar to what's called a basic aid district. Most of your money comes local. Next slide. So this is where I'm showing LCFF is local funding control, but most of your funds are from the local taxes. You did have $7.4 million of federal revenue in this year. So we're looking backwards. Yancey, what he showed is looking forward. And so some of this emergency funding, about $3 million that you were getting in the past, is going to go away. So that's what Yancey was talking about. So last year you had that, this year you have some, but it's kind of going away. Next slide. Most of your expenditures are employee benefits and salaries and benefits, and you can see the rest is books and supplies. Next slide. So this is a little bit about what Yancey was showing. She was showing going forward. We're showing some of these numbers backwards. Under this calculation that the Department of Education wants to show, you're showing reserves as a percentage of outgo. So this is kind of a conservative look at it, but the 3% is low. And so that 3% is like the minimum. And so I heard you talk about that, and you do want to make sure that you have a stronger position in that. And that's why you have to look at having some surpluses in those years so that if unexpected expenses come up, you have the chance to have some absorption of that. And so you have good district guidance that you're getting from Yancey to attend to that going forward. Next slide. So you can see that your average daily attendance is kind of flat. You have some erosion. I actually seen more erosion in other districts across the board. Your district looks stronger than most. So I think the erosion I see across California, Washington, and Oregon has really been people going to other, aging of the population, but also people going to other education sources. But you've been attracting and retaining them. So you are different. Next slide. So the audit is a critical look at your organization. You have a lot of compliance. We do have one attendance finding. I'll report to you. We have no findings on internal control or compliance, and no federal findings. So let's go over to the next slide and talk about the findings. So what happened is how they were counting some of your ADA. The calculation overstated it. And so we looked into it. The district found out what they did, and they did correct it. The impact to a normal district would have been about 500,000. There's no financial impact to your district. However, because the state requires any attendance counting things to be a finding. It is a finding, but there's no impact because you don't get any funding from the state for this. So you don't have to do anything else on it, but we have to report it. So not a big deal. And so prior year findings, there were none. Next. So the district's financial position actually strengthened this year. You benefit from the, good forward-looking fiscal management. We really want to thank Valerie and her team and Yancey. Yancey, he does roll up his sleeves once in a while and find things and help us with it. So we really appreciate all the whole team in helping to make this a successful audit. With that, are there any questions?
Board have any questions, comments?
How often does Yancey roll up his sleeves? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I do have a
Once
question.
in a while, that's it.
Trustee Jacobson?
This goes back to Greg's question about the reserves, and our guest mentioned that we had 3%. Is that a different?
Yeah, that's the state mandated reserve, the minimum.
That's what
reserve.
I thought. So
it
why-
also had another slide where it showed ending fund balance right above it. So
Okay, I
the
must
state
have missed
mandated
that.
reserve was about 7 million, and then we had about $54 million in terms of overall.
I just wanted to make sure that we were above. We were
yes,
above the
We're above the
minimum.
3%.
Yeah,
We're above the
that's what I
12%
thought.
as
So that was
required
confusing
by
to
board
me.
policy.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
then
thought.
we're in line with the state average in terms of fund balance.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay.
I make a motion to accept the independent auditor's report.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments either in person or online? Okay, call for the vote. How do we vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So item passes 5-0. We'll move on to Y. Y1, CSBA Delegate Assembly nomination.
So I'll take that one. So I was hoping our board would nominate me to continue what I'm doing, which is being the delegate assembly for our Region 5 area. So I want to hope one of you would nominate me so that I can use the paperwork. So Shar could help me with the paperwork before January.
Well, the first time you volunteered, the first thing that you slipped in, you volunteered. Now you're asking for help from the rest of us.
I want to nominate Trustee Land for that. And I also wanted to ask a question because somebody reached out to me because there's a couple of delegate openings. And so
Yeah.
Alyssa McAvoy was telling me that
There's some that are appointed,
Yeah.
but my
Okay.
election is up.
Oh, I see.
So I'm
Okay.
in the rotation where if I want to continue doing what I'm doing with the
I see.
reelection, I have to run again.
So we couldn't nominate two people tonight for those openings.
They could be nominated by appointment different.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so somebody can take those positions in a different way.
Okay. Well, I nominated you.
Okay.
There's
I'll
a second.
second. I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item passes 5-0. And we got board policies. Z. Everybody have a chance to review the board policies.
I don't think there's any on there.
I didn't have a chance to review them
there's-
as
yeah.
as
Oh,
closely as I want, and I'm gonna have some questions. So should I do those over email once I've had a chance to look it over better, or?
And I gotta confess, I did not look at them this time.
Then how can we vote on it?
We're asking that they move to consent for
I
next meeting,
know.
but if you have questions in between, so what I would suggest is send me those questions. I'll work with staff to answer them, or we can have a phone call. Any questions that you send and that I answer, I would send to the whole board so everyone has a sense.
Yeah.
And then we would, with your permission, with the board's permission or direction, we would put this on consent. If you had further questions at our next board meeting, you can always pull this item during consent, talk about it, approve all of consent except for that item, or talk about it and approve that item, however you want to do it.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
So it will be it's scheduled for consent and
Correct.
If we're still curious, we'll ask questions and clear the item. So, okay. Let me get back to my agenda. Is that it? Oh, anybody want to add anything to future board agenda items?
Yes.
I would like to see that we really get our self-evaluation done during the coming year, bring it up, somehow deal with it. The other item, and I'm gonna slip it in here for lack of an item on the agenda. I'm gonna ask all my colleagues to send suggestions to the superintendent on how we can make board discussion more equitable and fair. And I have to say this because I've been sitting here a long time, and when you're number 5, which means you're, sometimes you're first up, sometimes you're last up, and, and what happens, and this isn't, it's like sometimes you get, well, I can ask all the hard questions and and really get engaged, and then the last person has the same stuff, and well, okay, I'm still here, call me first next time. So I want the discussions to include everybody, and I want to be able to balance that with moving the agenda. So let's get some suggestions. If we could fix that, then I can call it quits and ride off in the sunset. And I'm sure you guys be glad to see me go. So anyway, let's try to come up with some suggestions, make that process better, so we're all included. You have an item?
Yes. Is there a way that we could do kind of a follow-up to tonight's discussion about the multilingual learning with teachers?
For sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
And also, I would like some kind of update, formal update. We got a weekly, but about what you guys found about math after looking into the CASP scores and our math situation.
Yes, and we've been talking about that, so for sure. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any other items?